What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. Today, we're going to have some business talk. I'm going to do a recap on some of the stuff I was on when I was on Ramil's panel. And, we just going to keep it real. So, let y'all flow in here for a second. Yep. So, you make sure you come and check in with a like, check out with a comment after the video. Yeah, what's up, Mr. Pump and Dump? Oh, man. What's up? All right, so I'll free flow it from here. So let me make sure I got this thing set up. Yeah, it's great weather out here today, to be honest with you, where I'm at. All right. All right. Where I'm at. All right. So let's go ahead. Let me flow it. All right, y'all. So here's the deal. So shout out to Ramil. Ramil. I think Mr. Fantastic had a good stream. Ramil definitely been having some really good streams on business and stuff like that. I do business shit every once in a while. It's definitely something I want to start getting back into a little bit more. But anyway. All right, so I put that video in the community tab. So let me go ahead and jump right into this. I put the video in the community tab. So this is what I want to comment on first. Well, probably one of the most controversial things that I said on that stream was this. I stated that you have to understand when you're in business, you have to take your feelings out of it. And you also have to know where you want to go. Now, one of the things that David MGTOW put out was he was talking about boycotting women. And I understand why dudes think that they should do that. But that's going to be a mistake. And I'm going to tell you why. When you're somebody that you're trying to build up your money, see, there's multiple levels when it comes to business. You have the hustle level, you have the corporate business level, and then you have the truly investor kind of like capital markets, what they call them. I don't want to call it hedge fund, but I mean, you just put your money in, get your money out kind of level, right? And each of those vectors have difference. Like the way you look at it like the B1 triangle. So on the upper left of the B1 triangle, you're an employee. The bottom left, you're a sole proprietor, meaning you kind of own your job, meaning if you stop working, you stop making money, but you can definitely increase your income very much so. And then you have the upper right, which is the business. So where it's a combination of you investing, but being at higher levels of business, running businesses and stuff like that. Then you have the lower right, which is basically you just put money in, put money out. And in all these levels could be at like different levels, right? So most dudes, black men, are going to start off obviously as employees. So that has its own type of hustle. But the reality of the situation is your job and your goal is to get your money up, because the more money you get up when you're initially selling something or investing in something, the more you will have to then make decisions based on certain mindsets that you have based on what you want to do and not want to do. You definitely don't want to walk into any industry on some I'm not going to do business for women type shit. because you don't even know if you're going to even have the amount of clientele that's going to be necessary for you to even do that. Like, take for instance, this was brought up with AM1, and I'm thinking this out loud. AM1, where saw a certain individual tried to call AM1 out for doing business with Erica Williams, saying, and this is the same mindset that David MGTOW had, the same mindset, because it was the way, it was what he cited as far as why he called him out. Oh, you're working for a woman, you're doing this. That's fucking stupid. That is a client. That is a paying client. Now, nobody's saying just because they're paying means you have to work with them and deal with their shit. But if that's a paying client, why would you leave that money on the table unless you have another higher paying client, or it's inconvenient for you to do that? That makes no sense, because it's not just about a paying client, it's about the networks that those paying clients have. Now, I know what these people are talking about when they say that, because I've talked about this before, and there's one particular thing that they have not talked about, which is the idea. Yeah, what's up, Keith? Which is the idea of who do you want to economically serve? Because who you serve economically is can be who runs you. You will be loyal to where your money's coming from. And this is where a lot of folks mess up. But this hasn't been plainly stated. If you have nothing but females that are your clientele, then of course you're gonna tend to want to be more loyal to women. You see this on YouTube where you have dudes that they get a lot of donations from women, even though they may have other listeners. So they're more loyal to more sensitive to what women have to say because they're donating. I understand that concern, but what you have to also understand is that's something you should pay attention to. But at the same time, you still have initial goals. You have immediate goals, you have medium goals, you have long-term goals. Your immediate goal is to get you to a point where you can do more investments, regardless if it's in a certain thing. So with there, you can diversify, so you can do what you want to do. So no one person or no one group can tell you what the fuck to do. It's the same thing with white folks. That when you invest, like if you're doing, let's say you're doing something where you're black and white people are a big amount of your audience or your clientele, because we're talking about business. We're not necessarily talking about like on YouTube or some shit. I'm talking about anything, because a lot of what y'all talking about has more to do with media than it does other businesses. But let's say, you have white folks as clientele. Your job is always should be to, the thing about white folks is white folks are a bigger market. That's the real issue with them. To get access to the bigger money, you have to deal with white folks because they are the bigger market. So that's why a lot of times black people go into doing business with them, because you can't just do business with black people. Not in America. You're just not going to get the numbers that you need to get to justify you doing so. And this is the advantage that white people have versus you. White people can do business with just white people because that's where most of the money is. You really can't, or not initially. And that's what people don't think about. So when you're getting to your initial money, like whether it's having a digital marketing agency or whatever, your objective should be to build up the clientele necessary. Then you can start looking at, okay, I have this clientele, I'm bringing in this revenue. What do I need to do to diversify what I'm doing? Do I need to, like, and that could be, do I need to, what can I automate what I'm doing so I don't put as much time into what I'm doing to get a good consistent result still? Do I need to look at what type of audience that I have, so I'm bringing the money this way? Let's say you have an audience, and you built up an audience that's mostly women. Who's to say that maybe you can't personally make money and then talk to about another topic that may intersect with that, clash with that other topic? But who's to say that you can't partner with somebody else who's already talking on that topic, and you create situations where you can generate revenue together because you have money, they have the audience, and you work together? Who's to say you can't do that? That's the type of business strategy that people have to start thinking about. Everybody doesn't have to talk about everything. And people don't really think about it like that. They think about it just on the front face of shit, because folks are operating from a very poverty mindset. So you have to understand that your job is to, first of all, get in business, And then the second job is for you to build that shit up to the point where then you can start doing more what you want to do, whether that's having more time freedom, whether that's having more whatever as far as quality of life and serving the type of people that you want to serve. I call it passion, profits, purpose. What are you passionate about? What gives you purpose and what makes you money? That's not in any particular order because clearly I talked about the profits part first. But what black people, black men will tend to do is they'll fuck up their situation to the point where they're not making money because they want to make wow. Hold on, I'm looking at this fucking travel on ESPN anyway, where they're not even getting started because they're worried about some fucking ideal situation that's dumb. So no, in business, you shouldn't look at doing that. That shouldn't even be in your mindscape to even try to do something like that. That's the first thing. That's the first things first on that. The second thing I want to talk about real quick before I bring people on is this other topic that came up when it came to the business in Africa. I look at Africa like in the East, people looked at going west on some California gold rush shit. It's a developing market with resources, that aka gold, with other opportunities that um that distill from the initial gold opportunity. Because that's what brings the industry in, and there's obviously other things that can be served to serve that industry, right? Um, that's how I look at Africa. Now, I understand certain people that they want to bring in the motherland, and I want to know who myself is, and I want to establish who I am as a black man outside of the American narrative. I completely understand that. I understand the excitement that people get with that because I remember when I went overseas and when it came to business, because I went over there for business, not Africa but Asia. Same thing. I get that. I get the excitement. I get communicating that, and that's great shit. And putting that stuff out there. But what has to be understood is number one, you have to understand what audience you're talking to. Meaning, I get you want if this conversation comes up, you want to put your shit out there, but there's certain people that are just going to think certain type of ways. It doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean you're wrong. It's that you have to talk to qualified people. And some people are not qualified to hear that message because they don't want to hear it. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It doesn't mean anything. It just is what it is. If you're outside of talk about a certain message, it is everybody's not going to want to hear that. That's number one. Number two is you have to understand what Americans are attracted to, or African Americans are attracted to in that audience, right? Meaning, if you're talking to folks about business, don't keep on putting the Wakanda Forever shit in there. And when I say Wakanda Forever, what I'm talking about specifically is I'm talking about all this shit about you're a fourth class. This is something Dinah says a lot. You're a fourth class citizen in America, so come to Africa and be a first class citizen. That's not fucking necessarily true, and y'all all know that. So when you all say that as like this typical rebuttal, number one, it gets away from what the message really needs to be, which is the California Gold Rush model that I'm initially talking about. It also gets past the details. It makes it an argument about Pan-Africanism. So a lot of you all have merged business and Pan-Africanism. And although they can be similar, that's a mistake. African Americans are most of which are being very clear as to tell you, I am not interested in Pan-Africanism unless you can show me how that shit benefits me first. And not me like in general, like not me down the road. I'm talking about me now. That is what people are clearly communicating to you. You don't have to address that if you don't want to, but understand you need to get an audience that's not asking that question. Because if they're business first, they're going to be Pan-Africanist second. If they're Pan-Africanist first, then they're not really business first. And what that means is they open themselves to really being taken advantage of. I know what folks have done when it comes to black banks in Chicago and stuff like that. I can name shit that Africans have done. I get all that. But this is where you get into a lot of this back and forth nonsensical shit that really doesn't go anywhere Shout out to dude that was from he's living in Korea now, and he's got Liberian family, and he's doing some good business with the call thing. He brought a tangible example of how much it costs to invest, so people can wrap their minds around. And folks weren't trying to hear that. The shit he was saying was really on some real shit. And he talked about how he went to the military and took his money on the military on some government contracts and made that shit happen. That's actually very similar to what MOT is currently doing. But it gets to this, oh, can you make it work in America first or in Africa? My thing is, your initial money, I'm going to tell you, most likely is going to come from America. But the question of Africa is, Africa can give you an accelerated rate of return on investment. And that's not to say that everything in Africa is going to be better in America. I don't agree with that, but that's not to say, but this idea, if you have something that's established, yes, you can trust it, but at the same time, the growth rates are not necessarily going to be the same. And stability, if something is usually either stable or it's going to be volatile. The good part of being volatile is you can have high growth rates. The bad part about things being volatile is you can lose a lot of shit. The difference in the risk is the information that you know and the how good you are with the environment. But see, that shit doesn't get said because people are too busy having a pan-Africanist argument on both sides. This is where the you should do what you need to do in for your own first. Most of these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about their own unless it's time to go overseas. And there is something to be said about developing real estate and shit like that. But see, my thing is, I look at developing in Africa no different than developing in a different state than where I live. You know, if you're anybody that knows about people that work in construction, they don't stay in the same place. If you're a foreman, you go to different places. You go where the money is. You go where the jobs are. You go where the work is. North Carolina is a very centralized piece as to quote unquote where the quote unquote work is. So a lot of people are down here. And when I say that, I'm talking about subcontractors. If you're somebody that does like doors for like grocery stores, we have like over 17 different grocery stores out here, always growing, always being made, then you're going to go where that work is. Same thing with electrical work, same thing then. That's why a lot of construction folks that are not general labor, they will tend to travel a lot. And even general labor will do that as well. So the point is, that's how I look at with dealing with the United States. I see that we are in this particular part of the African diaspora, which is America. America is where it is right now. It will not always be that way necessarily. You can look at Great Britain as a perfect example, which will probably be a little bit of an accelerated rate. But still, Great Britain is not the British Empire and hasn't been for a long time, but they're still relevant, right? And then you go to Africa, you could choose, shout out to Jesse Veal. He chooses to stay in Ghana. You could choose to stay, you could choose to come back. It's not you're making a life debt or blood debt because you can partner with people that are staying. You can partner with people that are doing other things. And it's you working in that partnership. It doesn't always have to be just black men. This is what it comes back to, partnering with different people. The thing is, you always have to understand what is in your best interest and then be unapologetic about what is in your best interest. And what happens is people are afraid of putting themselves in a position where they be like Snoop Dogg, where they are beholden to folks. But this is what you all got to understand about Snoop Dogg, for example. Snoop Dogg is in a situation where he's never decoupled his money. He's never liquidated his money out of Hollywood and put himself in position to where his money is really predicated on investments that have nothing to do with being famous. Snoop Dogg, quite frankly, it shouldn't even matter for him being on national TV anymore because he's never going to get the kind of money from national TV he otherwise would because he's not in movies, he's not in music. So what's the point of being famous? You're already well known in America. You're already well known in the West Coast. But see, psychologically, because that's what he's used to, and I can empathize with that. I can definitely empathize with dealing with what you're used to. They don't know nothing else. And it's the same thing with a lot of the Smiths and all of them. Hollywood is what they're used to. It's kind of like being an institutionalized in prison. That's what you know. So you know nothing else. All right, so I'm gonna put the link down if some folks want to hop on. We got 32 people listening. Shout out to that. I know this is like kind of a weird time and people may have some fatigue, you know, motherfuckers getting off work. You know, there's been some streams already been going on. But yeah, man, I just wanted to kind of break that first shit down. Because these things, you know, too many times people get into these back and forths and these things are not mapped out. Like Africa is definitely a gold mine and you should definitely be looking at it as such. And some of the like rebuttals that were given like to Mike V and shit like that, they weren't going anywhere. Motherfuckers talk about the hut shit, talk about all that. You got folks that they either got parents from Africa or they're from Africa, so they're not going to see any benefits to being in. It's just like how in America, you're not going to see the benefits of America in a way that maybe an African would because this is the water you're already sleeping in. You have to understand the type of class that they were in and shit like that to where they're coming from. But I think black men need to do business in overseas in general. Like as black people as a group, we need to have a class of people that are doing business overseas and able to bring that money and bring that industry back to the United States. But if that's something you want to do, yes, that's a great thing to do, but you don't have to do that. There's a lot of partnerships that can be had. One of my biggest examples of that is Hollywood and Nollywood. Black Hollywood and Black Nollywood should very much so have a lot of partnerships. You have a lot of Nigerian oil money. You have these apps. You have an emerging African market where these cell phones are starting to get put out there more and more. There are a lot of things that can be done over there. And quite frankly, there is a lot of money is being made. Do not think it's by accident that Ludacris got his whatever country he was in, he got his dual citizenship. I also think dual citizenship is something that a lot of African men should be looking at. The problem is these Africans are not offering dual citizenship like motherfuckers want to act like they are. What's up, Roastmaster? They're not. And I'm all about candor. I'm all about being candid, putting this shit out there, and let's hash it out. Yeah, what's up, man?
Oh, what's up, Edward, man? How's it going?
Nothing much, nothing much.
Yeah, shoot, I'm working, man. But I'm glad that the focus is starting to switch, especially ever since 2020 hit, about more so productivity than who we laying up and how we laying up. You know, I'm kind of glad that the discussion is evolving more into politics and to business. And I also like the fact that a lot of brothers are starting to gravitate to that message.
Absolutely. You know, you start a lot of folks kind of paved the way for that to happen. You know, shout out to O'Shea and his Hall of Game shit. But when you see like Ramil, Mr. Fantastic, and quite frankly King Sigma as well, and seeing that there's been financial support for this type of stuff. You know, you still haven't had a channel that's on some straight business shit yet. I mean, AM1 is definitely coming with that shit. Obviously, you do have Kevin Samuels. I promote Glendon Cameron a lot, and he gets his he definitely sells product on YouTube, and he also gets super chats on YouTube. So yeah, man, there's people always been about it, but I think the female argument at the end of the day, women can do as much to you as you're willing to invest in them to allow to do to you. The argument I've always made in the beginning and end of that, as a man, you need to diversify the women you deal with. So if one group of women is acting up, or you're not getting the kind of results from one group of women, you deal with another. I call it interracial or intercultural supplementation. I'm not on this just date out, or just date black. I'm like doing what's in your best interest. And what happens is we get into these circular loops back and forth and not understand what's in. You have to actually have power to actually take advantage of what's in your best interest. And that conversation is not had enough. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You're most definitely right about that. Um, Now I want to get your input on this. Now I have a first cousin. She's half Korean on my father's side, right? And she used to run a beauty supply store when I was young. So I called her, and me and her have been having these conversations. I'm thinking about starting to sell hair. And I know the market is there, and I know I can set up on eBay and Amazon, and go to my local flea markets and local salons and do some footwork and talking with people. What do you think is the potential for something like that to actually cut into what the Koreans been doing?
So I'm gonna say this. I'm not a hair person, but I definitely do have some thoughts. So I'll say this. But people can always take what I say with a grain of salt. Here's the thing. There is going to be no greater, if you look in the United States, one of the like really upward mobile market as far as return on investment is obviously black hair with females. I mean, they're gonna buy it. They're gonna get. I don't give a fuck about I'm for the natural hair movement because I'm for these women. I don't look. I'm not so much personally against them wearing weave, but weave can't be the only thing that's on their fucking head. They need to know what the fuck is on their head. That's my only thing. So if it's really a style, then let it be a style. And I'm against them people fucking up these girls' hairs younger and making them have to wear weave. So go ahead.
No, I was saying, and that's part of the reason why I'm double back into looking into this business, because I'm looking at, I'm from a 90% town, Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
And I'm looking at 12 and 13-year-old preteen with talking about they got inches, wearing this braid. So I'm like, I mean, the Koreans are eating double time because now we got the youth not even knowing how to maintain their hair. So let me cut in, use my connection through my cousin because she's half Korean, so she's going to show me the game. I was willing to pay her. I understand we family, but I'm paying as the old players say, the game is. And people don't value free fucking information, so I want her to know that I value this information. That hey, I'll give you $100 with a little bottle, and I'm gonna come with a pen and pad and get the connect. So what she told me was that you got to start off with at least $1,000 or $1,500 to actually order the hair. You can't to get it wholesale. You got to at least start off with $1,000, but she said you can turn $1,000 into $6,000 easy. So
No, absolutely. And see, this is what I've heard. People are saying that the Korean kids don't give a fuck about that shit. That like as far as the hair shit. So they don't have these businesses to pass down. So it's going to be less of them. So what they're saying is there's actually an opportunity in the market where there hasn't been before to actually re-infiltrate that shit to where they may have to do business with us more than what they otherwise want to. I'm not talking about your cousin. I'm talking about like Koreans in general. And where men, and you're talking about it from the per exact perspective of man should. Men should be looking at this like a return on investment. They should look at this no different than real estate. It's like when people look at internet marketing, digital marketing, what are they looking at? You can do Facebook ads, shit like that, and take whatever cup or mug Amazon sell, and you're getting return on investment. Well, hair individually is crazy return on investment. Now, somebody will say, well, black people are not going to buy hair from other black people, especially black men. They don't have to. You have your cousin. So the question is on the background, when it comes to the wholesale shit, she could be in the front of that shit. You just give a fuck about the money. And most men give a fuck about the money.
The crazy thing is she got time available because my older cousin kind of takes care of her. It's just, that's kind of a Korean thing they got going. But so she got a lot of free time and she got the know-how on how to order all this stuff. But she said the money ain't in the products. She said the products, let's say you pay 75 cents. Let's say you pay $1, you only make 25 cents. She said the money is in the hair. So I'm pitching to her an idea, something called the hair place. Like that's the name of the place, the hair place. And we're having online, eBay, Amazon, flea market on the weekend. I'm gonna do some footwork, some other things, and I can move that shit. I got to give.
I've seen motherfuckers push that shit on Instagram. In fact, you motherfuckers. Yeah, you keep going. I'm gonna show y'all something.
No, I was just saying, like, I got the, I kind of got to get the gas, like, especially, like, if I'm energized, especially if I'm trying to pitch to a woman, I got the charisma to, like, get in their face, like, hey, how you doing, woo, and just tell her what I got, and, and then I'm willing to do the work, like, go to the competitors, go to all of the beauty salons in the Northwest Indiana, like a good 7 or 8 of them, find out the same prices, find out their prices and then like do like a median price and then minus a few dollars. So I will be actually lower than the competition. So I'm willing to put in the work and the money. So now I'm just setting the day. Actually, this Sunday, me and my cousin supposed to meet up. She don't want me to give her no money, but I'm gonna give her money anyway because I need her to understand this ain't no handout. This ain't about. I value the information enough to put money behind it. And the game is sold, not told. People don't value free information. So I'm gonna give her some money anyway. But I'm excited to be able to sit down with her, and like this is my first cousin. So actually, put things in place. So in the springtime, we can actually, I can actually start to sell this hair and have it as a side business.
No, absolutely. And like I said, as Black people, we have to learn how to start valuing relationships with other Black people, especially if it's whether it's family as well. And you're doing the right thing by setting the standard, but it's also look at it like a long-term thing because and definitely keep that in mind. So you're definitely doing the right thing. But I've seen people sell bundles. I'm about to show you an example. Well, not you, but the audience. I see you're driving of people selling bundles online. Like, doing this. And now this person this is actually Raymond, well, her name is whatever, you'll see it. But this is actually Remy Ma's sister.
Oh, okay.
And she's in Raleigh. And they have a store not too far from where I live. And that's one thing she does, and that's how they make a lot of money with their store. Some people will say, like, oh, well, the clothes ain't all that, but that's not where they make their money from. And this is something that she does. And as you can see, like her hair is very prominent because those are the bundles that she's kind of modeling, so to speak. Right. And that's a lot of return on investment, and that's like something that's like people talk about internet marketing or Bitcoin. That is the thing. And with Black men, like I said, you got Black females are going to buy it, and you got Black women that could be salespeople, or they could do that shit for you if you just need somebody in the front. The question is, if it's a good value that you're offering, they're not really going to care like that. Because even on some online shit, like some local online shit is what I'm talking about. Shit, you could do like local Facebook groups and shit. Like, how women are with their hair and word of mouth and referrals. And you're in Gary, so you're talking about Chicago, which is you're right there in an extremely strong market.
Right.
So that's like, I know it's funny because people are like, wow, we got on hair, but for real, that's how Black men did not see niggas to be like, oh, well, I don't want to be beholden to women. Who's to say that you can't make the money there and then decide to say, okay, this is a good form of income, and then I'm going to use that to get some real estate or some other shit to expand it. So therefore, that's not your only thing with income. I mean, when you look at, I hate to bring it back to Snoop Dogg, but Snoop Dogg should be making massive. You understand how positioned he was for weed to become legal? When you look at brand, and I'm talking about brand even for white folks, even if he could have been like the Donald Trump of like weed, where he puts his name on something and it automatically makes money because what you associate Snoop Dogg with that, not just with Black people, but hell, more with white people. So it would have been way beyond, like, think about some HBC cookies, brownies, all that shit. So because music, he wasn't going to be a musical thing like that. He could have went past that. So it wouldn't have mattered what he was saying with some Gayle King shit, because he's making other people so much money, some Black, some white, that they be like, nah, you need to leave him, let that go, because he's making me too much money. But see, and he's doing that, but he's not doing that at the level where he can really have fuck you money, because he's still wanting to be in Hollywood or in the music industry for some fucking reason. And that should have been real talk. The only main reason why he fucked with Martha Stewart like he did, to give him a visibility at a level he might not have been allowed to be at outside of something like that.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, so I definitely agree. He should have been like one of the titans as far as, having his own weed strain and all that, because he's in the before Wiz Khalifa, he was the original. He was the person that made smoking weed cool. You know what I mean? And you know, otherwise people probably still be smoking crack. But Snoop Dogg made weed. You know, and he should have capitalized off that.
Yeah, because I don't
like
smoke
you said,
weed. Yeah, because I don't smoke weed, but I'd rather these dudes smoke weed than do this scissor and all this other crazy shit.
Yeah, no.
You know, like real talk, like what some of these millennials and these young millennials are doing, because that shit really does fuck your brain up. Weed does too, but that shit really does. So, like, if you look at what he could have been, like, you know, imagine Snoop Dogg and Killer Mike talk about some group economic shit, talk about now we got an agenda on you need to get certain zones. And by the way, marijuana is not globally illegal either. So Snoop Dogg could have been a global brand when it came to marijuana or what that is, depending on what country that is, because he is a global name. But, and I know he ain't thinking about it like that, because if he was, he would be at a much, I mean, they say he's worth 120 million. But like I said, it is, that's the type of shit that people have to be thinking about globally, and then how you can bring that back into the United States. So you gotta start with where you are. I'm gonna tell you another thing. A lot of brothers need to get into, there's old school brothers used to do hair. Real talk. And there was a lot of money in doing hair. If you knew how to do hair for females on top of your barber shit, there was a hell of a lot of money. There's a lot of pussy in there. But
it's kind of like you gotta be gay in order to do hair now. You know,
but yeah, now, but that wasn't always the case.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall back. I just want to get on and just kind of share that idea with you because, you know, just knowing that it's so much money, especially with all these kids getting it now. I mean, and I actually got a lane, and what I'm gonna do once I learn, I'm gonna teach others. Like, hey, for $1,000, you can get your first order, and then you can take this 1,000, and it'll be $6,000 to go to these flea markets on the weekend. These women gonna buy this hell up. So now, go ahead.
No. So that's smart, because on the one hand, you could actually create a digital product around that and then make money, or you could do like a Facebook group and charge people a certain amount to be in a Facebook group and make money doing that. And then at the same time, the people that actually go out and execute what you're talking about, because everybody ain't gonna do that. Some people buy the product just for the product, and that's just the name of the game. You could then take those people and say, okay, I have an investment group that we buy this stuff in bundles so we can get it at a better price. That's how people do that shit from a vertical standpoint. I just wanted to add that in there, but go ahead.
Oh, shoot, I never thought, I know nothing about the Facebook thing. You know, I'm just thinking eBay, Amazon, but I never really tried the Facebook marketing thing.
Well, what I mean, yeah, like, so this is what you would do. There's a website, it's called teachable.com. Like a really good guy to follow on what I'm talking about is Andre Hatchett. Because Andre Hatchett, even when he comes into the manosphere, he's always talking about, when he does, his notary business. And even though it's a little bit more refined now, like you can go to teachable.com and get you some shit for free. Everything is free. There's a paid version, but the stuff you need to actually do it is free. You put some videos up and then you do what's called webinars. And then you can say, okay, I got a webinar to teach you like an opportunity. And you make sure people know it's hair. And then you talk about it from a webinar standpoint, but don't really give away any serious stuff. And then you could build up a list because you've already shown that you've done it. And then you already got a story. Talk about, oh, I got my cousin. She's half Korean, have this. And then this is how I got into it. And that'll be a part of your marketing. And then that's a whole different vector of the business. So now you're getting money on that. Just like how you see Ramil getting these donations, but real estate is really what he does. So, and then he can do business with folks that kind of demonstrate they're either interested in real estate, or Ramil could actually do this. He's already selling shit on the low, but he could actually do that on wholesale real estate. Or if he didn't want to create his own wholesale real estate product, he could partner up with folks that actually do wholesale real estate, but have bigger channels, and then see if they want to do an interview and do a partnership, because he actually does it. So he has like social proof with that. But the long-term game would be for you to get people that's actually willing to invest money in it, because the more money you could put, the cheaper you can actually buy the stuff, because you're buying it more wholesale. I'm sure she'll tell you that shit too. And that's how you get that big money. Like when we talk about going into Africa, we're talking about being able to do things at a massive level because things are cheaper. So you can get a higher return on investment. Hair is kind of an example of that.
Yeah, and I told that Lane, and one of the things, so I guess I'm going to start off like 12 Well, it's going to be multiple things. You know, I got ideas about the online presence. I got ideas about the street presence, actually going to salons, telling people you got somebody in the chair that's somebody that's in the chair that's, let's say they need like one bundle extra, you call me, and then I you know, they buy it, and then I'll cut them a little. I'll cut you a little something. Call it. You know, so I'm gonna work with the salons like that, and then also the local flea market on the weekend, because there's not a hair store in there at all. So I'm thinking about that. And then, as far as at home, I'm probably gonna go like the pump chasers route, the Christian. You know, basically just sending all the stuff on my own, like going to just filling out the orders and going to the post office and doing a lot of the grunt work during the daytime, and then like I'll work in the second shift. But I don't know, I was thinking about doing that. And not being in a relationship, I know it's like a segue, but being free of a relationship for a whole calendar year, I realized how much time I really got to actually focus. Because before that, I was in a relationship for 6 years. But now I see how much time I really got and how much control I really got of all of my money, all of my time, all of my focus to actually, upgrade my life,
No, absolutely, and like I said, and absolutely, and a lot of stuff I'm just throwing out, to keep in mind about. But there's certain things that you want to focus on first. Like even when it comes to like the online shit, the shit you probably want to focus on, if anything, is finding a way for people like create some kind of social media account. Like I'll give you an example. There's like some accounts called. It's a guy that he deals with vending machines, and he has a social media account around. At least that's how I found him, around doing vending machines. And he teaches other folks, black folks, how to, buy a vending machine. Same shit you talk about, but with vending machines, right? And that's really good because it kind of gives people an ability to kind of reach out to him, either to buy the hair or to actually learn more about doing it, if that's something you want to do on the back end. But the first part he did was he wanted people to reach out to him as far as buying vending machines. So it's the same thing with you and hair. So that way, even if you're dealing with people locally, saying that you got like an Instagram account on top of like a business card is a way for people to kind of stay in touch with you in that vector that you're doing. So when you go to those salons, you go to those swap meets, hell, you can go to churches. Not women are. It's a way for you to like build a list that, and it's something that they're directly interested in. So even if you focus on that and nothing else while you're dealing with the offline shit, that's something that you could take when you decide to do something else with it. Okay, you have this base that you can go to. And like with black, and here's the thing, I wouldn't even just talk about weed. You could talk about shit like hair care. Because dude, do you understand how big, like how much social media traffic, as far as even on YouTube goes with these chicks about their type A, type B, 4C bullshit? If your cousin could game you up on that, hell, you'll be a novelty because you're a dude talking about that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm gonna get all of the game. I'm going there with a pen and pad on some straight business, and, just have a good time, chopping up with my first cousin, but at the same time, getting the information I need. And once the first order come in, she can actually show me the pricing. She can show me what kind, it's different grades. She can show me what's premium, what's more regular, all of the latest brands, what's in style. It's a lot of groundwork, but I see a potential for a lot of profit.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is right there. I mean, that's the thing when people talk about you ain't even making money on your own. The shit is right there. And I've heard people talk about the Koreans not wanting to get in that market. And even from a black standpoint, you should be looking at it just like invest money, return on investment. Because it's going to be easier getting into that than getting into real estate. Because real estate is good, but it takes a lot of initial investment to get into real estate. You can wholesale real estate, and I'm not saying you can't do that, but certain people are going to have a certain type of hustle that's going to do that. Everybody might not want to get in that vector. That's why people always talk about internet marketing, because the investment is not as high as maybe other things. Even if you get a food truck, you still got to buy or lease the food truck. You got to get the food. This is assuming you know how to cook the shit. You got to be able to put the time to be out there. If you do a hot dog stand is like $1,500, and then you got to get the permit, which is not bad, and then you got to be willing to get out there and then put in the time, which if you don't put in the time, people could steal the money to cash business. Because my mom makes killer egg rolls, and I swear to God, and I'm really thinking about doing this. If I put somebody out there that makes some egg rolls, I'm talking some black version of egg rolls. That's some. Everybody got hot dogs. Nobody got that shit. You know, so and and honestly, that's a straight up food truck business that I've been sitting on, and I know I could do it on some food truck shit. Because the egg rolls are very easy to make, and it's basically you can do it like wings, which is something I seriously am probably gonna start doing research on. But there, I'm glad you brought that up because there are a lot of things you could do. Like hell, if you know how to fix cars, like if you worked in Jiffy Lube or Meineke, you got that like certification that you can get from community schools on like like a certified mechanic. You could do shit like changing oil, changing brakes. You know how much profitability is in changing brakes. If you say, oh, just go buy the brakes and I'll do it for another like $30, when people be charged like $150 and shit. Hell, even doing the two, I know this is a good hustle. Motherfuckers will charge like 60, $70 to do a tune-up. And all they're doing is buying the spark plugs. And you just need that extended wrench to get the fucking spark plugs out. And then they call that a tune-up. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, or unlocking people's cars.
Right. Do you think it's kind of a sidebar, but do you think that the Generation Z's, like the ones that's in their early 20s, do you think they lack the imagination, or am I too critical of them lacking as far as, just going out there and getting it, like painting houses, like painting walls, drawing up business cards, getting into lawn care, just, them hardcore hustles, to get out here and really get it,
Yes and no. I mean, millennials are like that too. So millennials are just like the next generation. I mean, at the end of the day, it's I'm not giving no excuses, but it's how you grow up. If you don't grow up seeing nobody doing this shit, and it's definitely not talked about at a collective level, then that's not going to be priority. Black men are taught to basically be accessories to females, and not really taught to really. Okay, I'll say it like this: Black men they're not taught to look at the economy in different dimensions. Like I said before you got on here with the B1 quadrant, you have B1 quadrant is just the that's from Rich Dad Poor Dad. You have or B4. You have the upper left hand. It's like a box split in 4 boxes. The upper left hand side is the employee side. Now, even that's how we're taught to look at it, but Black men are not even taught to look at how to hustle the employee side, how to go get a job to build up experience so you can get another job that may pay more money, how to go, get this certification in what you're already doing. So therefore, or how to interview. We're not even taught shit like that. Or how to network with people that that may have a job that can bring you in. Maybe not bring you in at what you want to do, but can put you in a position where you can build up to what you want to do. What jobs can you go into if you ain't got a lot and really move up in quickly? Like if you're somebody that's bigger and you can do labor, then yeah, you can start out as general labor and construction. But if you get certified to work with them goddamn machines, you can do different shit. Or in the fucking trucking industry, if you didn't fuck up your traffic record, you can do expedited freight. You can do different shit. But we're not taught that shit. We're not given that type of game. Women do a better job at communicating that type of shit to other women via conferences and other stuff. But men don't do that with each other, and that's yeah. Go ahead.
And that's a cultural thing because the women, Black Girls Rock, Black Girl Magic, girl, go out there and be the best you can be because the girl, we all grow up seeing mama getting it, and for some reason, mom and daddy wasn't together. Now, my family, they had businesses, but see, I was like real young, like 2, 3 years old. Like everybody's older than me. So, and but my dad, we used to have businesses and everything, but everything kept falling down because I believe, and I kind of hate to put my mom out there, but she was sabotaging things. Like she'll close down the business in the middle of the hours to claim that she got to go pay a bill or do this. She'll constantly be sabotaging the business. And, things went left once she got her nursing license. Then, she became a little more mouthy, and then that's when her and my dad split. So, it's crazy the wealth of knowledge that my father got about real estate, about business, about so many things. And it's like nothing was passed down and maintained because at the end of the day, he basically had the wrong stage partner. You know, you can't win the game with the wrong person, you know. So, I mean, I'm glad I was born because, you know, they didn't have me till they was like 40. So I'm glad I made it.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, see, my parents are 72, 73. And my oldest brother's 51. I'm 34, so I'm the youngest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they had me real late. They called me the surprise baby. So basically, the oops baby. But, you know, I'm glad I made it, but I don't see how my dad stuck around for all those years with a person that really wasn't.
Yeah, because dudes don't be activating divorces like that. What dudes do, if they're going to do anything, is cheat. That's what dudes do. But dudes don't be pulling them triggers. They'll just deal with it, especially the older cats. And that's why you see them with the younger dudes. They just don't get involved like that. They just stay single and then just deal with pussy, you know, as needed. If they can, if they can't, it is what it is. Even with the women, the men that can get women, you see the women complaining that they don't settle down. So with the ones that they want. And this is why, and let's say they do settle down when they're married. Just what I said with the cheating shit. You know, there's women, Tracy Ellis Ross even said that. There's women, a lot of women don't value a man unless a man is in a committed relationship because it's on some, well, I don't know if he's valued if another woman hasn't co-signed them. And unfortunately, that fucks up other women because that creates a atmosphere of atmosphere of home wrecking. And women always try to look at the dudes when and yeah, whatever. But at the other side of that, they know women are very much involved in that culture as well, but they don't want to talk about that shit. But well, yeah, and as far as what you were saying with your mom, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Think and Grow Rich, one of the biggest books on success, will say who you choose as a partner is very important. That's one of the biggest important because a lot of times if they're not on your agenda, and it's not about them submitting to you in the way that women like try to act like it is. It's about them buying in and seeing how this benefits them in the long run. Clearly, your dad.
The thing is, they should look at it like that because the way they think of submission, black men never had that type of control over their women throughout history. So,
and clearly, he stuck the fuck around for that long, so that should have said anything on top. The thing about, well, if he gets on, he's gonna leave me. Most dudes don't leave their women for non-black women once they get on. And if they were gonna do that, that was some shit that was always in there. You know, but this idea, that's some shit that they tell themselves to do what they want to do. But it's unfortunate because she could have still did the shit she wanted to do. Like, for instance, this is what a lot of white dudes do with Trump in real estate at that level. What they will do is in the tax code, you can have what's called depreciation of value in real estate. It's a certain type of tax, like tax status. And what will happen is if a white man is like a doctor or something, that's one of the most heavily taxed jobs that you can have, regardless what motherfuckers want to say, right? Because you're at the level where you're getting fucked in taxes. So what they'll do is they'll get real estate, and then the woman will have the tax status of the real estate status. So it's in both of their names, but what it is that's what she's doing. So at the result, their depreciation of value of the real estate that they own, I'm talking about commercial real estate, you know, benefits to the point where it overrides his taxes. And then eventually he may get to the point where he's just doing that full time. This is what a lot of white dudes do. This is like what a lot of Asians do. A lot of people where, you know, the women ain't gonna just run off with the money, where it's true cohesion because of the culture keeps it like that. They can pull moves like that. This is why a lot of your commercial real estate, if it's not owned by white people, it's going to be owned by Asians, even though they're a smaller percentage of the population. And by the way, that shit is taught by a black man. His name is Kevin Harris, Commercial Real Estate for Dummies, and that's a black man that teaches that. He wrote the book called Commercial Real Estate for Dummies. He's got a YouTube channel that teaches that shit too. So it's black people out here that know some shit if you know where to go. And don't get me started on Glenn Cameron and his corporate, you know, shit, because he knows how to do them corporate shit.
Yeah, I gotta, you know, I've been watching Glenn Cameron a little bit. I'm trying to get into the brother, but, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to probably get used to his style of
It's
convey
cool.
in that
I
space.
no, I get it. And the thing about it is, like, I've been listening to Glennon for a long time. I would tell you to go in his archives. So if you want something, yeah, he's got a 10-year, he's got almost like a 6-7 year archive. So
Yeah,
go
I
in
know.
his, yeah,
He's been around for a long time.
yep, Erica Williams is good. There's some other dudes that I could point you to that if it's a styling situation, there's a couple of people that's at his level that I could point you to. If you're looking for business,
Yeah, I was checking out, with her. I mean, I literally got to sit down with a pen and pad and pause. I mean, she gives so much out so quick.
yes.
It's like you got to press pause. Okay, she said this, and then she said that. Man, it's, somebody said, I heard in the stream, it's the best and worst time to be alive, and both at the same time.
I said that.
Oh, okay. Yep, okay.
I said because if you, depending on what mindset you have, if you have a mindset of, a glass half full looking for opportunity, then yes, there's a lot of different vectors by which you can do something. Here's the thing where this is where it gets fun. It's one thing to do something and initially, this is why I always tell people focus. Like, you seem like you got a pretty good focus on what you want to do. Yeah, all the shit I told you can expand like what can be done. But I would personally put all the shit I said to the side and do what you wanted. Because the most important thing is for you to actually get some money coming in. Because once you got that, then you got credibility. So just the curve of having to tell people shit becomes so much easier, because if you're talking to people that you want to be talking to as far as they have money or shit like that, you've already established I can connect A to Z. So all that, can he do it, will he do, that shit falls to the wayside. Where it gets real fun is when you get to a certain point where you're making enough money where you can take control of your time freedom. Like, you don't got to worry about working your job like that. And what I tell people to do is that I don't never quit your job. What you do is find a way. If you got like a aunt, like I got an aunt that's got dementia, find a way that you need to go on LOA for a while and go on LOA for like maybe like 3-4 months. And that way you can kind of test the waters of you not having a job, but you can still go back to it. That's don't and that way it also gives you.
Tell you what, I got a lot of time. Like, okay, I got like probably one of the easiest construction jobs in the world. Like, I work literally. Like tonight it's gonna be 7-8 hours, but sometimes I work 6 hours, sometimes I work 7 hours, but like they pay me for a minimum of 40. So I got all of this time in the daytime, and I'm off every weekend. I'm off every single weekend. So I can do the flea market thing, and I got all of this time off. I don't have to start work until between 3 o'clock to 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm done by midnight. Done by midnight or 1 o'clock. It's sweet, and my rent cheap as hell. So I make like 6 times my rent, and so I'm in a good spot, but I got a whole lot of free time. So.
No, absolutely. And that's a great, you put yourself in a good position. And that's what a lot of people don't really think about. You want to get to the point, if you're, the best thing I can tell somebody if they're in their early 20s is, number one, don't fuck your credit up. Get you a passport so at least you've experienced doing something outside the United States. Even if you go on a trip like once a year or once every 2 years, do that. And
I'm 34 and never even been on a plane, bro. That's messed up. That's sad. But that's how it is in Gary. I'm 34 and never even been on an airplane. But I've been all over the country, in the truck, but
But that's better than most. No, don't underestimate that, because most people haven't touched the East Coast and the West Coast and seen the region. So that is one thing for you to say you ain't been out of Chicago. And even then, I'm not judging people. I'm just saying there's an opportunity there. But if you've been all over the country, everybody has because there's value in that. I would actually tell people to do that before they actually go overseas, if possible. But usually that's not possible. But anyway, what's up, big homie?
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Not much.
There's a lot of people that say that you shouldn't play it so safe. That if you have a passion for something, a business opportunity, that you should throw caution to the wind and make it work. And that they also but it's okay to burn your bridges. Where you
Yeah,
can't
they call it burning your boats. Yeah, I've heard Tony Robbins.
Where you can't go back. But there's nothing conservative or being too careful about going out on your own. You know, it has to involve some type of risk. And it seems like if you try to minimize the risk too much, you're robbing yourself of the immediacy and the passion of having to make something happen.
I take. Go ahead.
No, if you're skilled at what you do, and you know how to bring the money in and get the orders, no matter what, depending on whatever you're doing, because there's thousands of things that you can do, and you believe that you know how to do it, you should go for it. You should go for it instead of expecting to fail, and make your shit happen, and throw caution to the wind. It sounds reckless and sounds a little dangerous, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes. That passion, that drive, that feet to the fire. See, he says that. Okay.
No, I'm doing that while you're talking because that's going to be what I talk about. Like, if you're somebody that has a procrastination problem, and I had a procrastination problem, then what you're saying, I would recommend. Because if you have a procrastination problem, you have to put yourself in a position where you're in kind of a fight or flight mode. And obviously, you're not going to want to flight as in go broke. So you're going to necessarily fight. And a lot of people have that issue. But outside of that, there are ways to do what I call like controlled situations where you could kind of put yourself in controlled situations like that. Like I said, going LOA is like one of those situations. Because at the end of the day, if you're on LOA, you're not bringing in money. So if you're not bringing in money, then you're going to be forced to do something. But at the same time, you can go back to your job.
What's LOA? Oh, leave with absence.
Leave of absence, and that depends on what industry you're in. You know how quickly they are replaced. You see, I came from the telecommunications industry, so we had so many employees that you could pull that shit, and I could go on LOA for like 6 months. You couldn't constantly do it, but I had a strategy in what I did where I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my business to this point while I'm working. And then me going on LOA would actually allow me the time freedom to accelerate what I was doing. So I had already planned on doing that. And then by then I will reevaluate where I was. And then depending on where I was, I may go back to work or I may not. But yeah, sometimes you have to do that. You have to take the plunge, and if you have that fear. So it's a case by case situation. But go ahead.
No, I worked commission at a place where I earned real good a long time ago, and I got fired. I got a little bit too big for my britches, I got fired. Actually, I had outgrown the position, and I was ready to be on my own. I just had the comfort of having a back office and a staff, and they gave me leads and everything. But I got fired. So what do I do now?
Yeah, Kevin Samuels called that ageism. He said that, like, if you get to a certain point where it's like you don't get to the next level, but you hit a certain age, then they look at like trying to liquidate folks because it's like they could pay somebody a lesser commission or pay somebody less.
Well, I was 25, so
okay, that wasn't
it wasn't age. I just wasn't the type that's going to be confined by their rules, and it's not the type not to speak my mind to power. I'm not kissing no ass. When you can produce and you work on commission, you realize the reason why you get paid what you do is because of your action and your activity, and these other people are just assisting you, and you know deep down that you really don't need them. Okay.
So what year were you 25? What year was this? I ain't trying to age you, but I'm trying to see like.
You can age me. I'm not scared to say how old I am. I'm 57, so I was 25 in the 80s.
So the internet was okay. Absolutely, that makes sense because the internet wasn't. Yeah.
In a boom period in the economy, it was actually a boom period. The 80s, and there was no regulation. There was loose regulation. And the not the strange thing. But I work in the same field now on my own. The same thing that I was doing then, I'm doing now, years later, except I don't earn as much because the margins are different because of the internet and mainly because of the internet. But I do the same. I do the same thing.
No, absolutely. And the reason why I said that is because what you see today, when people, the reason why you don't see more people take advantage of the internet is because at the end of the day, they're not trying to put no money up and take no risk. Because that's another side of what you're talking about. It's not necessarily burning your bridges as far as getting rid of a job. It's about putting, it takes money to make money kind of thing. And even though technology allows you to invest less money to get a return, depending on what you're trying to do, you got motherfuckers that they don't want to put nothing up. They want to just do something that's gonna get in money. I've had motherfuckers that if I tell them something costs like $100, they look at me like I'm retarded. Even though,
well, they're not being realistic, and they're not willing to invest $100 in themselves or their business. But no, you're misunderstanding me. When I say pre-internet was a good thing because people couldn't check costs and they couldn't find a bunch of other different competitors. Now you can find a bunch of different competitors, so I have to sell service and I have to become way more on top of the ball and give the people a lot of.
From a salesman perspective, absolutely.
Well, the sales is what it's all about. If you're not bringing in any orders or attracting customers to your business, sales and marketing, then you don't have a business. And you can start something with little or nothing. You could do it just like guys start law firms. They work at a big law firm long enough, they develop a relationship with the client, and they leave that law firm and they take the client with them. And the client is able, and that one client and maybe word of mouth, a couple of other clients are able to provide them with enough where they can operate a small office. That's just kind of the way things work.
Well, but the thing is, the biggest cost of doing business is to get clients. So once they have that, then that's why a lot of law firms will kind of have shit in their bylaws that you can't do that. But absolutely, you can do that. That's the smart way to do it. That's how people do it.
When you see someone as the law offices of, they usually started at a larger firm, and left and took some clients with them. That's what I did, and you do that. With the idea that you may get sued, or with the idea that it's, but you don't have a choice. And usually lawyers don't like to sue each other too much because they'll tie themselves in for whatever. And there's always the adage is that the best closer, the best lawyer, the best closer, the best salesperson is going to get the customer. There's millions of customers out there. And they're gonna go, and they're like women. They're gonna be with who they want to be with. For the good. Go ahead.
So one thing I want to focus on, because you keep bringing this up, is sales. Because people today, I'm gonna say, particularly millennials, but it's true for millennials and now, they are scared. Black people in particular too are scared of sales. But Americans in general are. But they have this bad relationship with sales, as if they think they can actually make money without having any kind of sales acumen at all.
No, because it's basically the art of persuasion, and particularly starting off, you're going to have to persuade people to take a chance on you, whether it be the customer, whether it be the banker, whether it be the guy you're trying to get office space from. It's all about sales. It's all about persuasion. It's all about getting people to see things your way. It's all about developing some trust and some belief in you, so people will give you a shot. And then once you get a shot, it's very important for you to keep your word and act with integrity. That's what's missing. Yeah. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of fast talkers out there.
They think exactly that's what they think sales is. Go ahead.
But there's a lot of But the only difference between a con man and a top grade closer or salesperson is that a con man doesn't produce on his promises, while a top notch closer or salesperson produces on the things that they say. That's the only difference. They use the same techniques. They use very similar to the same techniques. They qualify and find the right prospect, see that it's suitable for the prospect, and they try to get an order or get an invoice out to them, do some business with them.
What is qualifying? Because most people don't ever hear that word unless they're in sales.
Qualifying is depending on what your product is, finding someone that's suitable or that needs and wants your product and can afford it. It's finding someone real simple. You guys should be writing this shit down. because I've studied to know this stuff. Qualifying is finding a person that's suitable, that needs your product, and that can afford your product. Someone that needs your product can afford your product, because if they don't need your product, you're kind of wasting your time. And if they can't afford your product, you're definitely wasting your time. And your time.
And oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is that's a key thing, because when people think of sales, they don't understand there's an actual sales process. And when I say sales process, it's not just some shit that people make up. Like, there's an actual process. Like, one person called me. This was something as far as in the industry, but they called it like the magic, non-magic formula. And they say first is you contact, then you communicate. And part of communicating is obviously building rapport. What makes you different than everybody else? Then you actually qualify, which is ask questions. And even in the communication process, you're getting information to kind of see low key, are they qualified for you even to offer them some? Is there a problem for you to solve? This is the way you need to look at. And is there a problem that your product can solve, which are the features or whatever your product is? And then it is once you qualify them, then you invite them. And that means inviting them to whatever. Some of this stuff, it flows with it. Invite, present, follow up, and answer questions, or answer questions could be closed.
Those are components of a sale.
Yeah.
Those are from step one. And you have to have those components. Those are steps that you don't skip. When you skip those steps, something goes wrong. Even if you get an order, you may not get repeat orders. And it's all about repeat orders. But one thing you didn't mention, not features, because we don't sell features. What do we sell? We sell benefits.
Yeah, that's all I would say. Benefits.
It's not necessarily what it is, okay? But how is it going to help you? How can it benefit you? And building a rapport is the most important thing of all.
I got you, AM1.
Because people buy things from people that they like. If they don't like you, they're not going to buy from you.
Yeah, the rapport, and that is, I'm going to get AM1 on this in a minute. That is first, here's the thing. The contact part and communicate part, that's you. Can't blame nobody for you not doing that, because that's a will issue. The art becomes into the actual the building the rapport, because that's what separates you from everyone. And rapport is not about, yes, you can have talk game and all that's in there. What's also most important is what rapport is. It's that relationship that you have with that person. Some of that can come from, when I say life experiences, certain things, there's similarities, but the ultimate thing it's about is, do you care about their problem? Are you demonstrating you care about their problem? Because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's one of the key things. But anyway, AM1, what's up, man?
No, that's dope. I dropped into the stream. I know you was doing a business stream, which is fresh, and I love the idea that Black YouTube, specifically Manosphere brothers, are getting in on the business tip more. That's big, because I'm pretty much was starting to get bored with the whole shit where everybody just want to talk about females and dating and all this extra ass shit. I'm like, look, talk about that all you want, but if niggas is broke out here, what's the point? But
the more money you get, the bitches get easier.
Facts. Pure facts. So that's why I'm like, I don't understand what all the hoopla is about. Plus, chick be more of a headache than anything, especially when you about your business. If anything, that's a distraction. But you guys were saying some dope stuff though, because like I sell a service. I'm an independent videographer, multimedia producer, and it is about relationships. It is about rapport. It is about solving problems, helping people get their issue out as far as their, whatever their service is. So I make content for content creators or product creators. So it's real dope. I was just kind of soaking up the gems you guys were saying as I dropped in and was kind of backstage. It was pretty dope. But I love just the nature of how you guys were even talking about even earlier, like that the brothers are really getting into this more. I think Edward was saying that earlier. Shit, I was at the gym. Y'all was on here this whole time.
Brothers have always been into this. The guy that I worked for that fired me was black. And he used to run a motorcycle shop before he spent 6 or 7 years in the business. And he became he became a millionaire. He's very, very conservative and smart, and he was older. And I would say half our office was black. And then the office that we worked in before that, a good 20-30% of the people were 20 or 30 people were black. And a lot of times it was because the sales is a job where you could show up and get hired right away. They'll give you a shot. You worked on commission, so either you were going to sink or swim. After a couple of weeks, they got a good idea of if it's going to work out or not, and they didn't look too far into your background, into your past. They didn't look too far.
And it's always been one of those jobs. I mean, they don't. It's not. It is the same, but it's not the same because it's not. The margins are not as big like at the average as what they used to be. But because I worked in the call center industry as well, but folks did not want to work. A lot of times, I'm not gonna talk about just black. Everybody, it takes a certain mindset for people that say, okay, this is where the sales part is. I'm gonna maximize that. When they look, because I was actually a sales manager for a while. That's actually one of the reasons I even got to the Philippines. And it takes a certain mindset for you to look at, okay, you're gonna start at the max, not the minimum, because that's the mindset you need to go for. And people are just not built like that anymore. When I say built, I'm talking about the law of averages. You definitely still have salespeople. You have a lot of black people that are in the sales. I learned most of my sales from black men in particular. But it's just, when you hear the general conversation, just like how you hear the general conversation when it comes to business. Now, AM1, I'm glad you hopped on because I actually brought up, I didn't bring up who brought it up because that's not relevant. But in my initial talking point, I was talking because one of the things that I had mentioned in Ramil is I said, you would be a damn fool to get started in whatever business opportunity and then just start cutting out clientele based on whatever views that you have. So like, if you're going to sit here and say, okay, I want to do business and I'm red pill, there is no fucking red pill business. Like if women are going to pay for what the fuck you got, you be a guy. Number one, it's illegal, but even if it wasn't, you would be a fool to be a black man and to say, oh, I'm not going to service women because I'm on strike. That makes no sense. And I brought up you as an example with you going over there doing business with Erica. And I'm like, if she's a paying client and she's a good client, it's not even so much, obviously it's about she can pay, but it's also the networks that she has access to as well. So are you really going to say, oh, because she's a woman, I'm not going to do business with her? Because the argument was put up that, oh, well, you were working for her and that was seen as like some kind of negative shit, which it's insane that somebody would even try to bring that up that says that they're a capitalist. I said that earlier on. So I wanted to give a comment on that. And yeah.
Well, I mean, off top, I would say it's a misnomer for anybody to even imply that if you're just because you claim to be red pill, you're going to not work with women, because red pill is about seeing reality for what it really is and not just pertaining to women. So that's just a falsity in and of itself. But on the real, like, I am a freelancer. I pick and choose who I want to work with to the degree that it's really more collaboration than me working for someone. So there's that. So when you get it in and really, make your name for yourself, and I'm still just scratching the surface, but I've done a lot of damage in this career path and really, rocking this out with my career. I get to pick and choose who I want to work with. Working with her is beyond just the money. Like you said, the networks, and she gets it because she's an independent entrepreneur as well as myself. So she totally understands my position, understand her position, and it becomes a symbiosis to the degree that I want her to thrive and I want her business to rock out better, because then she has that much more resources to send my way, and one hand just keeps shaking the other hand. The gender issue is completely irrelevant to it.
Are you aware of incorporating what you just said into making yourself exclusive? And it's a form of a takeaway clause and I use it. I run a small boutique operation. It's exactly what I say. And I have the luxury of working with people that I choose to like, that I feel that I can help. Unfortunately, the door only opens from the inside, not from the outside. You just can't call me up and buy my product. Okay. So let me ask you let me ask you a couple of questions. And okay, I've asked you a couple of questions. Yes. So what exactly do you present that would make me want to open up my doors to you?
Myself? You're asking that as an actual question?
No. That's what I'm asking the customer. And that
right. Right. I feel that. I like that.
You could form some verbiage. No, this is high-end shit. You could form some verbiage where you're getting that point across, whereas you're not pushing your product, but you're actually sitting back. You're actually sitting back, and they'll start to qualify themselves. Oh, well, we earn this. I do this. I do that. I do this. It's like I have a roster sheet. I have a roster list of 50 people. I've had a few people drop off. I've got 48 slots. I've only got 2 splits to qualify, and I've got maybe 12 prospective clients to deal with. Why should I work with you?
Right. Let me holler at that. Let me holler at that a little bit, because that's interesting. I love the way you're saying it like that and straight outright quantifying it, because that's the way my career has been moving, specifically because I work with this theory that I never work on a one-to-one trade-off, meaning I'm not going to provide a video for you or do some kind of service for you just for the money. It needs to be the money. It needs to be access to bigger networks. It needs to be a few different things. Like I like to work on a 1-to-5 ratio, meaning every time I make a move, there's going to be 5 benefits for myself. Not that I'm trying to get over, but just that's how I pick and choose.
You better try to get over. This is what it's all about, getting over. Let's not kid ourselves. This is about getting over. Okay, and it's okay to get over. It's okay to use, psychological tricks, deception. I wouldn't say deceit, deception, ploys, traps, psychological manipulation, again and again and over again, as long as you deliver on what you say that you're going to deliver. Okay?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, if you're somebody that you're okay, let's take it like, I'll say it like this. Let's take it like a cow. So everybody that knows, if you look at cows, pigs, whatever, they could get all these little ... symbols where they can break down different parts of the organ, different parts of the meat. Even the cow hide, you can break that down and give that value. Even the bones, people can grind. Let's say you're somebody and you only know about hamburger and you know about steak. And so you sell somebody a cow and they only know about that. That's not your fault that's all they know about it. If you deliver them the cow, you say, I'm selling the cow and this is what it is. If they only get that kind of value out of it, then that's on them based on their knowledge and their experience. But let's say you get something out of it because you can break it down in all these other component parts because that's what you know. That's kind of what I take from when you're saying getting over. That's just you having more knowledge, more experience to get more value out of that transaction. Just the shit that AM1 was talking about. You're thinking at multiple vectors, but at the end of the day, you're still delivering on what you say you're going to deliver. Right. It's just the value that you're getting is a lot more than what they anticipate. And again, I wouldn't call that getting over, but if you want to call that getting over, that's fine. But that's not a bad thing either way.
When I say I don't want to get over, or I'm not looking to get over, I mean specifically some type of unscrupulous
not delivering. Yeah, that's like not delivering on, or that's what he means.
Well, that's what I chose my words precisely. Yeah, I chose my words precisely.
But that's people. But there's also. But here's the thing. You also, I get what you're saying because people have to know what that means. Like when you say that, I kind of know the difference based on the example you just gave with your boutique and stuff before. Some people will hear that and they'll get fucking triggered, and that just means they're not where they need to be because they would have like when you said that door opens from the inside, that automatically got something for me. I knew what you were talking about when you said that because a lot of people don't know of restaurants and shops that the shit is not open all the time, or it's only open when like it's not that they're open only to certain people.
That's a different product.
Well, you get what I'm saying. Like I know, like right. So there's places where
I guess it's the same thing as saying, we reserve the right to refuse service to anybody.
Well, like for instance, what they'll do is they'll be like they're only open to groups. So like it's a place that you see and it seems like it's always closed, and you be like, how these motherfuckers in business, but they're in business for different reasons than what you may know on the outside looking in. And and even with boutiques, most boutiques, what they'll do is, or high-end ones or whatever, because I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert on boutiques. If they're in a certain part of the city, then that automatically qualifies you because there's only certain people that's gonna feel like going into the city. And even calling something a boutique in general, people don't are not like, even if it's like a boutique to say you customize clothes, that people, unless you're qualified a certain type of way, are not even gonna try to walk in that bitch. And so it's like a qualification on that as well before you even get to asking the questions that you were even talking about. So, but people don't think like that.
When I said boutique, I'm trying to find the definition. Okay. The first definition is a small store selling fashionable clothes or accessories. What I meant, the second definition of boutique is a business or establishment that is small and sophisticated. Okay, that it's a small, sophisticated operation, and it
okay,
it implies personalized service. You know, personalized service. I generally get the people to know the people that I do business with super well, where I'll spend a lot of time schmoozing with them. Okay, because they're not coming to me right away dealing finance, right? So that's something that people have to be very comfortable to talk about. So I talk about myself, I talk about my experiences, my life, things that are going on with me, and that gets them to open up about themselves. It's kind of a one-on-one thing, and they'll open up more and more about them, and it makes them, it gets their guard down after the course of time, where they start telling you more. For instance, I had someone call me today, and I've been bullshitting today. I had someone call me today that they're selling a home and they don't know what to do with the money. Nice. Should I put it in this or should I put it in that? And of course, what my answer is going to be. Let me look into it a bit. Let's see what's going on out here. And I'm going to have a pretty large order tomorrow because of that. But that's all because I spent the time of doing this with these people. I work
and
go ahead.
I just want to point out that, and you can continue, that a lot of people also don't focus on the lifetime relationship. They don't look at the relationship for the long term. That's another thing with con artists. Con artists look to get shit in the immediate and from a quick. They don't look at building a relationship over time. So even if you get a sale from somebody that may be based on the interaction that you're doing, bigger things and more things can be done over time. A con artist isn't thinking about that. Some long-term people are. So the stuff you just said becomes possible because of a longer-term relationship based on what you've been saying.
Better think on the long term. It's a marathon, but it's important to think on the long term. And try to do business with people as long as you want to. I mean, as long as you can.
It's crazy not to. Why do extra work reeling in more clients and having to sift through some bullshit when you already lock in a solid client that understands you understand them, they're paying your price point, they're paying your dollar amount. Why have to go vet other people? That's been my strategy for the past few years. Scale up to clients that understand what it takes to do the kind of work I do and work with them to a degree that I make it to where they pretty much feel like they can't live without me because I provide so much value to them and I help them make money. So why not rock with me? So as soon as they need something, I'm the first person on their speed dial, and I keep that going.
Yeah, it's a poverty mentality, and it's if you could tell kind of people that have been doing business versus people that are looking into doing business versus people that they have negative mindsets on when it comes to money and stuff, when they don't understand. Even I can even show you this in an employee standpoint, to where if you have relationships with people that's been like, I have business mentors or mentors that they have jobs in certain places. If I wanted to go and work for that company, I may not be able to get the job that I want, but I can get in a position to where I can get the job that I want within a certain amount of time, because I just got to go in because they can get me in the door. People do that even when it comes to stuff with interviews and stuff like that, and people don't think about that. Now, the guy that I have, people may be wondering, who the fuck do I have on my video stream? This is a guy by the name of Billy Jean. He's a digital marketer. Specifically, what he does is he shows businesses how to generate traffic and sales. Now, what makes him unique is he one thing that he says all the time. He makes millions of dollars, by the way, and this company is very much so growing. But what he will say is, as an internet marketer, if you're going to do business with corporations or companies, you have to also be able to know how to do sales. It's not enough for you to say, I can just generate traffic for people, because at the end of the day, if you're generating traffic and they're not able to close that traffic, even if the traffic is fine and it's that they don't know how to fucking close, they're still going to see you as an expense. So they may not blame you, but it'll still be an expense that needs to be cut off because it's not giving them that benefit. So what makes him unique is he has, if you go to his channel, which you just type in Billy Gene, it'll come up. He has a lot of sales stuff because he has to teach these people how to actually close the traffic that he sends if that becomes a problem, because sometimes that's not a problem. So that's in his process. So on top of internet marketing, he also has a lot of older school sales tactics applied to internet marketing as well as marketing for that reason. And this is a guy that, you know, he's mixed, but he's black. He started out, you know, on his mom's couch and shit like that. You know, that's his story. And he built this company up to the fact where he works with, you know, multi-million, sometimes multi-billion-dollar corporations. So, you know, I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody wanted to know. But this is a great channel if you want to kind of dabble into sales in a kind of a fun way, but a very extremely informative way. There's other people I could tell you about, but he's one of the better ones. There's probably people better, but as far as people to where their mind is now, I just want to let people know who that was. But absolutely, man, it's been a lot of good offline sales talk, because the first dude that came up, Mr. Pumping Up, was talking about selling hair, and you know, because his cousin is, I guess, half Korean and shit like that, and she's into that industry, and yeah, I bought his program too. He has a program that's $39 that has access to all his older programs. So you're getting like 15 or 20 programs. And I can tell you the shit is definitely current. And it's probably some of the best shit you can get on sales in general, as well as how to do internet marketing from a methodical way. So y'all should definitely check that out. I mean, ain't no affiliate link. I'm just putting it up there. It is what it is. But really, you don't need to do that. His YouTube channel alone will give you a hell of a lot of shit. But let me see. What else can I take this? What do you all think about, I mentioned doing business overseas and doing business in Africa versus doing business in the United States. And one of the things, there was a debate was, you know, whether you should do business in America or in the United States or outside the United States. I see this as a false question, because my opinion is, if you don't already have money and you're in the United States, this is the best place for you to be. And then as you get money, if you're looking for different ways to invest it, you know, overseas may be a way you want to look at if it's something you want to do and have partnerships. But I wanted to get what you all's thoughts on that was.
I don't know.
With Big Homie.
I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable here. This is what I know. This is who I can relate to. You know, Americans. Okay. I do business with some Chinese, but they speak perfect English. If there were, again, I'm in finance, so the people are going to have to be qualified. So, you know, if I could find, I would do business with Africans in Africa. Again, it depends on what we're talking about. If you're selling hair, no, Africa.
No, it wasn't hair. It was just, that was some other shit. But that, if you're giving that as an example, then yeah.
Yeah, but if you're selling hair, Africa might be a good place. They try to look like Americans as much as they can, you know, and hair might be a big thing there. I don't know. You know, why? I would keep things as simple as I could.
Yeah.
You know, I don't meet the majority of the people that I've done business with. It's via phone. So, they don't have to necessarily be close, but,
okay.
I don't, and my customer is rarely black.
No, this is a good answer. I mean, this isn't a right or wrong answer. I'm just
no. I'm just saying, my customer is rarely black. It's occasionally black. My customer is rarely black, and Africa. What I don't think is the answer for me.
Okay,
it all depends on what you want to do, but I don't think it's the answer for me.
To ask you a follow up, because this is what I've always said. I've always told people that for people that want to do that and that makes sense, then that's fine. And the thing about it is, if you're like an African American and you've done the work, you do business, you qualify for certain people, depending on what type of level you're trying to deal with, right? There's a difference between you as an African American and knows what's on the ground, that kind of is proven talking to other African Americans about a business deal versus like an African going straight over there. So everybody, because they always try to sell it as you have to be in Africa to do business in Africa. That's not necessarily true. There's people that can already be on there that you have a relationship and a rapport that built with, and you know they're about some shit, not about to sell you some bullshit. That then it's like chains, and people don't think about it that way. So it's interesting how you said the phone thing, and then like I said, it's gonna be depending on what it is. What do you think, AM1?
I mean, my business hinges upon networking and diversifying. I mean, I'm into a couple of different things. Like I'm essentially a freelancer, but I'm an entrepreneur with a few different ventures going on. And being that the hub of what I do is content creation, video work, graphic work, it just keeps putting me in these different scenarios where I'm meeting different people who have a lot of different business strategies that I can easily take advantage of, because again, the hub of what I do is just so, it's so all over the place. It creates so many different opportunities. So as a perfect example, working with Erica, doing video work for her, being immersed into her network has now created a situation where I'm about to do video work for other people within her network. But because she is a serial entrepreneur, it's just opening my eyes and expanding my horizons to a lot of different other things. So I say that to say, to use that, apply that to the same strategy of what I do business in other countries. Sure, or why not? Because it's just that much more ways to, generate passive income of sorts, being able to set up this system over here, this standard operating procedure generates money, groom it up, build it up, maintain it, put the right people in position to maintain it. So I say that to say, yeah, I mean, buying real estate, businesses, certain things you could do overseas, why not?
Yeah, let me expand on my answer. I'd love to do business successfully anywhere. If I could think of something that, I could sell and offer to people in Africa, I'd do it. I just haven't given it that much thought because you know why a lot of people talk like that, I think? Because when they try to do something, whether at a job or on their own, but particularly a job, is hard. You run into a lot of no's. And unless you have skills and tenacity and just an attitude that you're not going to be denied, that you're going to do this or die, unless you take and also be evangelical about it. Be dead serious, be down for yours, where you tell yourself you're not going to be denied, that you're going to fight and go down. You're just going to fight and learn and study and do whatever it takes. Come in earlier, stay later. You're going to really apply yourself that hard not to be denied and improve upon your skills. I think a lot of people start looking at things, well, we'll do business in Africa like it's going to be easier. And it's not going to be easy anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy anywhere. It might be more difficult over there, depending on what you're doing. There's plenty enough.
Tell them that.
And I'm thinking the reason a lot of people say that is because it's so difficult in the marketplace here, no matter what it is. If you're selling it, there's competition out there. And the competition can be good, And they
what
can actually,
do you have to say about the idea of, because you're an older dude, so you would have had a good understanding of like in the past versus now. What do you say about the idea of, well, the only reason why you say that is because you don't realize you're a fourth-class citizen in your own country. Because that's the main reason why people talk, oh, well, if you go to Africa, you're going to be treated better and blah, 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 versus you're a fourth-class citizen in your own country. You don't own anything, that shit.
I'm not calling people up and speaking Ebonics, okay? I'm calling up and speaking good and proper English. I'm acting like an educated person,
Well, I mean, clearly you sound black over the phone. Like nobody's gonna.
Because I'm speaking with black people now. Believe me, I can hide all of that. I speak
you have a white person's voice. Okay.
A code switch.
No, I'm not gonna ask. Oh, okay.
Use your white voice.
You need it exactly. You saw that movie.
Yeah.
Your white voice. As soon as you started hearing this white voice, yeah, that goes without saying. That goes without saying. Yeah, use your white voice. Definitely. You put on, yeah. But maybe because I'm just being comfortable when I'm speaking with black folks. But when I'm working, I'm not giving any indications that I'm black. That's not even important. What's important, and that fourth-class citizenship, I'm an alpha, top of my game, money getting ass motherfucker that can get paid every goddamn day. You can't tell me I'm a fourth-class citizen. I'm gonna buy into that shit. Even if you can give me 1,000 facts as to why it's true, I'm not buying into it. I'm not accepting that. It's still America. Yeah, it's fucked up, but it's a whole lot easier when you make $2,000 or $3,000 a week.
This is what kills me. They say that
or more. Go ahead.
They say that as if you're a poor African, this is how they make it sound. Like, I ain't gonna talk about Africa as a whole. Let's talk about let's say Nigeria. They say that, which is one of the stronger countries, more developed. They say, or Kenya. Let's say Kenya. They say that as if you're a poor Kenyan, you have more rights than like a Chinese foreigner that's there. That's how they say that. Like, you know, because when they talk about the fourth class citizenship, they talk about, you know, dudes that are in poverty, or they'll cite like a Bill Cosby or a Snoop Dogg. What I always say is those people are in the media. So most black people that have money are not in the media or playing basketball. So by definition, their money comes from their fame, which can be controlled. And that's not the same thing. But go ahead.
Well, God bless you and the people that you spend your time talking about this bullshit with. I mean, when I say it's bullshit, unless they've lived there and experienced it, I don't think they really know. They're speculating. You know, you can give me 1,000 reasons, and you give me 1,000 reasons why it's more difficult as a black person here in America, and I'll probably agree with them. But I'm not going to spend my time focusing. I'm going to spend my time, as you young folks say, going after the bag, trying to get the deal and trying to get the order, because that just improves my position and improves everything about myself. I'm able to live in a better place, drive a better car. I'm able to help the people that I choose to help. I'm able to feel like I've got some control over my life. You know, that's what's most important, and I'm gonna be able to accomplish things. You know, I used to network with folks. When I say network with them, they would be working in different offices, and I would spend time, a little money with them, and I'd get some. They'd like, oh yeah, here's some people we haven't been able to sell them. You see what you can do, and I'd run right through them, and I'd sell 1 out of 3 of them. Like, you got some more than people. You got some more than people, and it would actually make me feel good. It's like I'm selling people that they couldn't for whatever reason. That's the beauty of being in sales too, particularly in high ticket sales. Is that all that bullshit, all that inferior talk? You not only do you not buy into it, you prove that it's flawed every single goddamn day. Let the next motherfucker be the inferior dude. Let the next dude. Now, of course, a black doctor or a black, Skip Gates can happen. All of that shit can happen. Okay, that's all true. But you spend less time. The chances of that happening are less and less the better you improve your position. The better you improve your position, it's still America. It's still a capitalistic society. And those with money are treated better than those without. Period. 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 Period.
Yeah. And no, absolutely. Ramil would definitely, like, this was on Ramil shit, and really this wasn't a direct topic. It like transformed into this. And I just these are the things that I had talked about before, because these are the arguments. And and to be fair, Dynas brings this argument up. And Dynas is really good. He's somebody that was in sales. He was somebody that worked in sales in corporate America, made enough money to where he could kind of do his dream of going to Africa, has African citizenship. So, but there's others that say this too, that hasn't done what he's done. And again, a lot of times I kind of question, okay, how deep have you gone with some of this shit? Because you're buying into certain attitudes, but like class matters, and black people don't think in class, they think in race, and that's where sometimes that fucks us up, because if you haven't seen anything else, then you don't know anything else, especially if everybody's going to tell you that race is the excuse you should have, especially if you're something like I'm 33, AM1 was 40 years old. So especially if you're somebody that's 33 years old or you're younger than that and you're saying that shit, you don't even have the true point of view to even really say that, as far as what you would have seen compared to like when you look at in the past, even in the immediate past, of like 20, 30, 40 years ago. So
it's sad because it's a cop-out an excuse-ridden mentality, and it feeds on itself and defeatism, and then you can get groups of young folks together and they'll agree on it, because it's difficult. And I will say this for the millennials, okay? The millennials, you guys came up, if you're 30 something now, that means you're just coming out in the world as 20, 21 years old in the midst of a fucked up economy. Okay, that was undergoing a huge shift from those that have to those that don't have to a service economy. So finding your way, and even those that had degrees in education were working for $15 an hour. So I'll grant you guys that you haven't really had boom times until what they consider boom times now, and it's not really boom times now. It's only boom times for those that have real estate and for those that have stocks and other investments. It's easier to do business because more people have a little bit of money right now. So I'll give the millennials that. You guys grew up you came out in a dead economy. In a dead economy that wasn't moving, that's not growing. People my age were fortunate enough to come up in the 80s. And the 80s shit was cracking. Shit was booming. And there've been boom and bust periods.
Yeah. That's something folks don't acknowledge. That was very important to acknowledge, because a lot of people try to act like that's not the case. But go ahead.
Well, that besides that and being spoiled brats that don't want to work, they want to cry and complain about everything.
That can be true too. They both can be true, but and you could even focus on the latter part versus the other part. But when people act like the other part doesn't exist at all,
it exists. And when you add the two together, it's fucked up out here. It make you want to go to Africa or think of some other kind of shit that you haven't thought out, that don't even know if it'll work.
Well, what was funny about that panel is they had one person where his parents gave I believe his father was African. And no, that's what he said. Yeah, his father. And then they had another dude, Justin, who's Nigerian, and they were railing against that. They were actually going against the dudes that were more Pan-African, saying, that's why it's interesting. Preem's on here saying, "No, that shit ain't what you want." Like, I understand what you're saying, but you all don't have it from a perspective of people that's either lived there or got parents that came from there that lived there. So a lot of the stuff y'all saying, some of it is true, but a lot of it y'all romanticizing. And this is where black people got to get out of the magical and the romanticization. That's one of the bigger difference between millennials and the older generations as well, is there's too much fucking, I hate to say it this way, because the romanticization comes from females and female like thought processes. Too much of that romanticization of shit. And the lack of pragmatic looking at what you can do. Because even with the dead economy stuff, which is absolutely correct, it still is situations like, for instance, I keep saying this, if you're somebody where you got any kind of skills in like being an auto mechanic, I'm talking about even if you have no skills, you go get your certification at a community college. You can do shit as far as changing people's fucking oil, doing tune-up. There's ways to flip money out here. Food truck industry. There's emerging industries if you're thinking about it. What you're talking about in the 80s was shit was cracking as far as getting jobs. Jobs are plentiful, jobs valuable. Another thing that doesn't get talked about too is women are better employed. It's easier to employ. They like to employ women more than like to employ men nowadays because of the service industry. So that's another thing. But anyway, go ahead if you want to clarify. Yeah.
Not just jobs. You had growth. You had companies taking over companies.
Yeah.
You had companies. There was money out there. There was money out there to get. There was more money. There was more money flowing around, and that helps. That helps every salesperson. That helps every salesperson that's selling any type of product. If somebody can afford it, they're more than likely going to give it a shot.
No, they consider 80s like the golden age of sales. This is why all these movies come out. Wolf of Wall Street, Trump, a lot of that stuff, Wall Street. That's why like that was seen as like, yeah, I'm not.
No, it was a good time. And before I kind of mastered shit, that's what kept me going, struggling on $200 or $300 a week or no commission that week. What kept me going is I saw dudes in the office leaving with $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000 and $8,000. Dudes that would give you, hey, go downstairs and give me some lunch, and they give you $100 bill, and tell you to keep the change, and you bring them back, a $9 sandwich, because they're trying to get you to stick along, trying to help you out without just like making it a complete handout. When you see people doing that, you're like, well, I can do this shit. What is it going to take? And they're regular people, or they look like regular people. you're like, you got proof right there.
That speaks to proximity too, but go ahead.
Okay, well, proximity, whatever you call it, right? Being at the right place at the right time. That's what I saw. I was like, damn, how can I be down?
Well, that's not an excuse that like at all. That's just me saying, like, let's say you're in a quote unquote not great economy, but you're in like where certain people are benefiting and you're around people like that. Even if you're not the one that's benefiting, if you have a glass half full mindset, then you're going to kind of have the spark that other people might not have because it's not shit that other people have seen.
It gets harder when the economy gets rough, or after 9/11. That was another real rough period. That was a rough period. I've had a few rough spots. I used to sell private placement for internet deals, where they would either supposed to go public or get bought out from someone else for the investor. And after the tech stocks crashed in 2000, that shit was hard as fuck to sell. Damn near impossible. And then after 9/11 was a real rough period. People were afraid to make moves because you thought, you didn't know what was going to happen. You thought your city would be blowing up anytime soon.
Talk about like 2006 from 11, because that was where a lot of real estate, like if you were in like the mortgage industry selling mortgages, I know many stories of black people in particular, they got it big there, and then they have stories of that shit just collapsing.
That collapsed. That's what happens. That happens in a lot of industries. Usually it gets so hot, it boils over until it fucks up. And that shows the mark of who you are. Okay, is being able to pick up the pieces after disaster strikes, and keeping your attitude right. And you might suffer some losses. There's a lot of people, that live life on a shoestring, which means everything's a payment, from their car, everything all the way down.
1 second.
Let them talk.
No, you can finish. I was just letting him know because he's been sitting for a minute. Did I see him?
No, to me that's the mark of who you are. Being able to pick up the pieces and see your way through the difficult periods. Because when you work on a commission or when you make deals, you're going to run into those periods and they're going to come unforeseen. And that's why now I'm glad that I'm a bit older and have done a lot of the wild stuff and the fun stuff, and I can live within my means, and I do different things for fun that doesn't seem to cost as much.
All right, Preem, what's up?
Oh, nothing much, man. I just saw the word business, and I swoop in like goddamn Batman.
Yeah, this is the off-tick of Ramil's panel. He was talking about some other shit, but it kind of turned into some doing business in Africa versus Pan-Africanism. It became this big old debate. So and a lot of business stuff got talked about with that. So I wanted to add in some other shit as far as doing business here and shit like that, showing some different business channels, the people that do different things, black men, as well as get people's opinions. So, yeah. That's really what it was about. I mean, yeah.
Man, I got the struggle net going. But I heard the end part. I didn't hear the beginning part. You said Ramil had a panel and he was talking about doing business in Africa versus doing business here.
No, not Ramil. You know how Ramil's opinion on that is. This is what happened. So Mufasa, I'm sure you know who Mufasa is. Mufasa came in. The original video was about, black men going on strike in America as far as black women, because of the Harvey Weinstein case, the Me Too movement, that shit. And then somehow, this is when I came into it, somehow it became this argument about going into Africa and doing business in Africa, but they kept on making it like that was the universal answer, number one. And you know how they get when they talk about you're a fourth-class citizen in the United States, you know how they talk. And it became a big old debate. And then a lot of it was about business. So what happened was I wanted to just do a piggyback since Miller did another business thing before then. They had Kevin and all them on there to kind of piggyback my views on doing business in America and the difference between doing business here, because you can't go to Africa and think you're going to do business with no money, even if you do that. And this is the argument, because there was certain things that weren't said. Like people come here to make their money And then if they do go back or they do decide to invest there, it's because they have disposable income that they have built up, or they have brought people over here in order to do that. And that was getting lost in that conversation. But it turned into more
is it
in America and how to go about doing that here.
So these are people that haven't even tried to do business here in America, talking about going over to Africa because you're a fourth class citizen.
Yeah, that was brought up by one of the Africans. Yep.
Yeah,
that was definitely brought up. Like and my exactly, and that's why I kept on saying you got to take the fucking Wakanda. The first thing I said is you have to be pragmatic, and if you're looking at this shit from a pragmatic point of view. And by the way, Mike V came up there, and I asked Mike V because he actually does business and he puts his money where his mouth is. I said, how much would it cost at the minimum to seriously do that? And he said, if you don't have really $10,000 to do business, we're not even talking about like going over there and being over there, then you're on some bullshit. And there was some people that came up with some examples. Like one dude, yeah, Prem, I'll mute you real quick because you're like, but talk when you want. Because it's like echo sound. Well, I'll give you a perfect example because you'll like this. It was one dude with his mother is like he's Liberian, he's black, but he's Liberian and half African American. And he said he lives in Korea right now. Oh, I don't know what he's doing, but he's in Korea. The point is, he went into the United States military, 6-year contract, I believe, made his money. He calls it his sacrifice, whatever. Made his money, and then he spent $10,000 on buying some kind of coal machines that like make coal. And now he has multiple businesses, but he has a coal business in basically Africa that his mom helped him manage. And this is a dude that has American citizenship. And he has trucks now. He has a coal business where he makes, like he said, 300% more coal than what other people can make. So he has a government contract with that. And then with the United States. And then also he does a couple of other things. So he actually gave tangibles of like the money, what it takes, how it happens. And I said, some people are interested in those details, but when you get into the magical shit and get away from the business shit, people don't want to hear that shit. And that's the problem. You want to talk about developing Africa from a feel-good standpoint. I'm like, no, motherfuckers want to hear developing Africa from a gold rush standpoint if you're going to bring it up. And that's to the extent that it got caught. It was a lot of back and forth, but it was what it was.
Oh. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's kind of genius. Coal's a dirty ass business. I bet he's dirty a lot of the time if he's actually working with the coal and the truck and the stuff himself. But
that's the funny part. He ain't even doing the shit on his.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah, his mom does it from like a paperwork standpoint, but it starts helping him. But really, as far as actually on the ground doing it, he bought the machines, and then he has a couple of people that over there. I think it's in Liberia. They helped him do what needs to be done with the machines. And then he's in Korea. So he set it up pretty well. And he said it cost him $10K to get the initial 3 machines. And he was able to expand from there with the revenue the business brought in.
Some people that he trusts shit. Minimum wage in California now is $13 an hour. That's for the small guy like me, that's kind of an expense to get somebody to do some work. That can add up a bit compared to what it used to be. I can imagine. As far as a labor force, Africa might be a good place to be. You could find a product that they can make. Another thing that probably would work with Africa, I know that would work, is import, export. You could buy things from dashikis to little drums to gourds to artwork, and buy and resell over here and do well. But
well, the key thing that I pulled out of that whole conversation is I said he made his initial money work of being in the United States military, and he saved that up and then took a risk and made an investment. That's what does not get said. What doesn't get said is I get that if you want to invest and you have money you've built up to invest, but this idea that you're just going to drop somebody off that ain't got no money and then think they're going to go to Africa and do something versus you could make money in the United States, that's fucking stupid. And when you present that to somebody, they want to come at you with the Wakanda talk.
He's doing business in Africa, but he's not in Africa.
So that's another thing too. Which that was
which is cool. He's providing coal is it's dirty, but coal is like a basics for heat and energy.
Yeah.
A lot of things. It's actually pretty brilliant.
Well, the key with him was that what I liked, because he was like, it was him and Mike V brought up some good stuff there too. But these were the only two that actually bringing up tangible things, like an example. Everybody else was like he was on the kind of talk too, but he actually translates the example. I said, if you're going to talk about this stuff, that's more what you need to talk about, because people have to wrap their minds around what could be done. Like, for instance, I do more internet-based stuff. So what I'm looking at is the cell phone access in there, because of mobile stuff, the internet access. Different people are going to be looking for interesting things. So when people always ask, why are people not interested in this, and everybody else seems to be interested in this, because, you know, they go over there, they get the bright eye look. It's that you got to understand people can't connect it. So your job is to actually connect the dots, as far as you need to show some shit. Hell, I'll keep it real with you. You can do something as simple as, like, Dynus is a dude, search for Haru, very good channel. He's already out there. You could shoot footage. You want to show the Africa. Oh, I'm tired of people talking about Africa's a whole bunch of huts and ignorant shit. Okay, then why don't you shoot video of like what these cities look like? Let people see on the ground. Hell, there's a way you ain't gonna get rich off that. The way you make some money doing that. I mean, why you're already over there? Because that's valuable footage, pictures. Let people actually see it. But you're expecting people to use their imagination on some shit that they can't even connect to in the United States, because black people have a business problem here too. But
I like watching that stuff. That trap flicks, JT the Bigger Figure, the dude that left from the Bay Area, involved all kind of shit, and actually settled in what's that, upper Burkina Faso, and sent for his family, and he's living there doing things with ideas, and he shows himself living there every day. That shit fascinating as fuck to watch.
Exactly, and there's
Katie got 500 and 600 people watching it on a regular basis.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not that people are disinterested, but when you're you're expecting people to jump too many. Expect to me jump too many kind of mental hurdles to get to your point, and not understanding, like you said, in marketing and sales, you have to kind of your job is to teach them why a product can actually help them, if they're qualified, that product could really help them. Your job is to bridge those dots, not to expect them to connect those dots on their own. And that's something that gets lacking. And to be fair, even in business and with black people in America, because when I hear black people always complaining about selling other black people, you know, because it's that argument versus, you know, the black consumer versus the black, you know, business person. Black people that are business owners, they definitely could use some work in the marketing department. It's something that a lot of times they don't see marketing as a big enough thing as it otherwise should be. And that's something that creates a lot of friction, because, you know, it is what it is. But yeah.
You're right. Well, I come from a school of people to tell you black people in business don't mix. And I don't know that it's true. I don't know that it's true. I wouldn't say that it's true, but you might
definitely some code that needs to be cracked.
You might run into some pettyism that you might not run into with other groups.
Well, you know, it's that we haven't been taught to value doing business with each other, and you can see that in any kind of demographic. Like, even if you cut it up gender by gender, I mean, like, black men do well when it comes to the barbershop industry, but when it comes to like the hair industry on the female side, you know, even though they should be able to control that market top down, that's not the case. You can cut, but then again, women do a better job at aggregating together in business. It's based on, I guess, what you're trained, for what I've observed. But that goes back to me saying, when dudes are talking about they're gonna, you know, be on strike with doing business with women, I'm like, y'all ain't got enough money to even try to pull that move. Like that makes no sense. So anyway, and this dude that on the thing right now, his name's Peter Harris. He wrote the book Commercial Real Estate for Dummies. And he teaches people how to do commercial real estate. Now, he deals with everybody. He deals with black people when they come along, but he's dealing with mainly white folks and agents. But his thing is he teaches people to make six figures how to transition into starting to invest into real commercial real estate. Very good dude, knows his shit. You don't know shit about commercial real estate, you listen to his videos like for like an hour or two, you'll know everything you really need to know.
And that's what it comes down to: having mastery of your business, your product line, knowing what you do, studying it, you know, researching it, practicing it, doing it.
Yeah, he's an engineer by trade.
Yeah, knowing what you do, knowing what you're about, knowing your industry, and all that second class, third class citizenship. As true as it may be, you can be a master of this. Are you going to tell this dude right here that understands commercial real estate, the ins and outs, and all the intricacies? You're going to tell him that he's a second class citizen? You think he's going to buy into that shit?
No, now go to ask him if she should, because he tells you to invest in mainly B and C commercial real estate. You ask him to invest in the hood. Oh hell no, he don't want to hear that shit. He tells you specifically, do not invest in the hood
for good reasons, because it doesn't appreciate the same way in insurance.
Hey, that's exactly what he said. That's exactly what he said.
That's common sense.
But you apply that to like what people think in the quote unquote pro-black wannabe business space, and that wouldn't make any sense. Like, man, but you're supposed to buy the hood. He said, no, the fuck you not. Now, not from a commercial real estate perspective, which is what he focuses on, because he says there's 5 types of commercial real estate that people should invest in. He says there's apartment complexes, there's office space, retail space, there's what is call it like trailer park land for trailer parks, and he says what's the storage facilities. Those are like the 5 main ones he talks about.
Storage facilities make a fortune.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that. I didn't realize how many storage facilities were around me until because you have blind lists to that type of shit unless you use it. So
I know very wealthy people who've been wealthy for a long time. That part of their wealth is in storage facilities.
Yeah, and he teaches you how to get the deals. Like on his YouTube channel. I mean, obviously he has products and stuff you can buy, but everything. It's a really good channel. He gives really good value, and I made sure to put nothing but black men on here. I have plenty of channels of non-black men and white men, other stuff like that too that I look at. But I wanted to show people there's channels out here, man. Like a lot, it's the shit, and I didn't even notice that.
Generally, somebody like him or somebody that has expertise in these areas where you don't see a lot of black folks, they learned it from somebody else. They got this information from someone else.
I forget. Oh, he learned it from Robert Kiyosaki directly.
Okay.
Because when he was an engineer, that's the story he told. Like when he was an engineer, because he was making a lot of money. And you see how he looks like it's the Secretary of Hood. But anyway, when Robert Kiyosaki was doing those tours, and he was doing, because it used to be he did them before they have it now, so it's not him. But he did the initial ones. That's where he learned this information. He says where he got it from. And then he redeveloped it into kind of more of a package of how to focus particularly on getting people that make like in the north of 100,000, 150,000, because they get taxed the hardest. So a lot of what he sells is the idea of using commercial real estate as a way to be in a different tax status. Because of depreciation of value and stuff like that. He uses it as a wealth building tool.
Engineers need tax write-offs after a while. A lot of engineers make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. Maybe not 4, but a lot of engineers make big money like that, and they need some depreciating assets.
Yeah, so his clients are going to be like people like doctors, people like that. Usually, like I said, in the 2, 3, and 4s, like those types of people. And me listening to his videos, that's who he aims at. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a target. Go ahead.
Let me know if I start borging, because my connection is just really jacked up. But one of the curiosities that I have when I hear this talk about doing business overseas, and I have explored it and I have looked into it, but when guys are pushing or talking about it, one of the things that I rarely hear them say, which kind of throws me off, is I never hear them talk about profit margins, revenue, average customer value, cost of goods. Not to kind of get too much into the E equals MC squared, but if you think about it, if you open up a business in a country where the average monthly income is $20, yeah, if you live there and reside there, you can probably sustain yourself. But are those things factored in when folks are talking about doing business in other countries? Like some of the guys that I know who have real estate in like Colombia, they can, they have real estate and they rent their places out on Airbnb, but they rent it out for $25 a night. Okay, I mean it is real estate.
But they don't. No, they don't talk in. No, you're right. They don't talk in those terms. You're absolutely right. They're not talking in that language. They're talking on some emotional shit, and that's what I was talking about.
Well, that's bullshit.
And that's how you know. And that's a cold.
Yeah. So I mean, exactly. I mean, and again, I'm not knocking the idea wholeheartedly, but I'm full-throatedly. But I'm saying that should be a part of the conversation. Like, listen, the average income in XYZ country is $25 a month. So if you start a business there, like how much revenue you're going to be generating?
Well, it's like scale that you got to do that in. So that's why when you look at things from like an import-export standpoint, you have to look. Obviously, you're right. You're going to have to do a lot more scale to get those numbers. And it just depends on what you're doing. And it just depends. So that is not necessarily an impediment, but it just depends on what you're doing. But the point is, that's an excellent question. And these are the questions that if you're going to get people interested, that you need to talk to. And this is what people like, for instance, you weren't here, but the example of one dude that he's like, his mother's Liberian, and I think his dad's like African American, whatever. He's in Korea, and they have like some kind of coal business where he spent $10,000 on getting coal machines, and they generate coal. And now he expanded to doing the delivery of it to get more of that money. The point is, that's the type of shit that people want to hear, because those stories inherently like at least open certain questions, but there's not enough of that discussion. You ask some shit that what you're talking about, and they're going to give you a kind of shit.
And again, I'm not knocking it, but I'll be curious to know. Money, well, exactly. So again,
but nobody asked him. But again, nobody asked him. Nobody asked him. He just said,
and so hold on. And again, my curiosity is not to hate, is not to throw shade, but I think it's a legitimate question. That sounds good. The barrier of entry is low. $5 grand, 10 grand, that's low. So okay, if you've been doing that if you got in for 10 grand, you've been doing it for 5 years. What are the annual numbers? I mean, y'all doing 150, 200 grand? Or are y'all doing 30 grand after 5 years?
He probably would have told you. That's a legit question. I mean, nobody's, I don't think he's been doing it that long, because he was a younger dude. But that's definitely a good question. Absolutely.
That's somebody that's actually doing it and making it profit. I would tip my hat to him and listen to him more than I would listen to somebody that's just talking out the side of their damn neck that hasn't. And what Preem's talking about is right. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. If you can't figure out how much you can make off it, how to earn, how is it even worth? I'm not going to get out of bed and roll and even think about something unless I know that it can make some damn money, I don't want.
That's very important too, because the type of people you're talking to is going to be people that you want to be talking to. You don't want to be talking to motherfuckers that ain't done business. You want to talk to people that have some disposable income. It's just like if you do real estate and you're looking for real estate investors, you're looking for people that have disposable income, not. And also you're looking for people that's done business, because they can at least understand some of the stuff you're talking about. And you get the questions but it never goes into that. It never goes into that angle. This is where the 4th class citizenship shit comes from. And that's where I sit down.
Those are conversations that I would opt out of. I'd politely excuse myself from those conversations.
Well, the only reason I didn't was because there was some other shit that was actually going on, and
because you're not going to change their mind, and I'm not saying that they're not well-founded in their victimhood, but it's not going to get you ahead. You have to be constantly thinking of ways to get it done, close the deal, overcome the obstacles, and not focus on the damn obstacles.
Yeah, and what I stated, and what I said to them specifically is kind of what I'm telling you. I said, if you want to have this conversation has to be asked. And then I kind of alluded to a lot of what Preem was talking about. This is what these people are interested in. I even added the video shit that you was talking about, because people at least be interested in kind of exploring that content. Because like Ghana Dan is a perfect example of that too. He's built a farm, and he's doing farming over there in Ghana, and he worked in the trucking industry, made his money and did that. And he has actually videos actually showing that shit and showing what he plans to do, showing what it is now, showing what it was before. and you know,
yeah. I don't know how many people. I got clients that are farmers. You know, they work sun up to sundown. Sometimes some in their 70s and their 80s. They're worker bees. They really work. You know, when it comes down to getting shit done and business shit, I get a little hardcore because I know that's what it takes, and there's a trillion excuses out there. You know, if you're willing to get up and do the damn work and not complain and cry, and then reap the rewards of your work and your expertise, or you should go get your ass on welfare somewhere. You know, you should go live off a bitch. You should go find something else to do, because those of us that have done it and that continuously do it ain't got no tolerance for hearing about anybody's excuses. And unfortunately, on some of them panels, you're gonna run into a lot of excuses. And I'm not gonna. And when you run the risk of being called every type of coon and everything in the world,
you said it.
You run the risk, and I'm not, and that shit might anger me a bit. So I'll go ahead and grant you and say, yeah, the majority of the shit is true. It's fucked up that you could be minding your own damn business and get pulled over and get executed by a police officer while you're unarmed. It's fucked up. I mean, beyond fucked up. We already know all the things. Just be thankful that it hasn't happened to you. I've seen. Let me go somewhere for a minute. I've seen police go into. I've seen them on television, and I've heard about it in real life, where they'll go into a poor area, into poor housing, and they will violate all kind of fucking laws. You know, they'll come into someone's home without a warrant. They'll do everything because these people generally lack the resources or the knowledge that they have certain rights. When they go into a nicer building or nicer home, they act a different way.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true.
They act a different way. Back in the day, go ahead.
But see, this is where they fuck up on. They try to put you in a situation where just because certain things can be true, they use that as a way to nullify the other thing. The reality of the situation is that most of these dudes are even saying that because they're trying to hide the fact that they're afraid of business. They don't want to create a hierarchy based on folks that have tried and succeeded, tried, failed, and tried and succeeded, versus people that's never tried, because at that point it becomes, what are you talking about? So they always want to angle the conversation into that side rather than getting in line on, because here's the thing, you're somebody that you've owned businesses, you currently own a business, you've done things through the business way. So that's going to put you in a different hierarchy because of what you've done than somebody that just wants to stand on some pro-black shit. Because the goal now becomes, okay, how do you make money? Not what the excuses are, because as a black man, you've dealt with those excuses just like anybody else. You're dealing with two black people at this point. So they don't, you see what I'm saying? So they'll use that shit as a way to nullify that. And this is why I always say that black men, especially in this space, are afraid of business, because they will, right now, here's the funny, this is how you get them. When it comes to dealing with women and fucking women, you notice that shit never becomes an excuse, and it's never allowed to be an excuse. It's like what you said. It's you either do it or you don't. Either do it or fucking get on Pornhub and some shit like that. But you talk about business, now all of a sudden we dust off white daddy, and white daddy does.
Why is that? Why is that?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because when you're younger, and when it comes to sex, it's something you have to have. Okay, you're gonna find some way to get some relief from being a. You're gonna find a way. No, it's the truth, and nature made it that way. But when you take that same attitude that you have to have some money and you have to have a better lifestyle and you have to do more, if you take that same passion and you feel that same pull to improving your lifestyle, it becomes the same thing. No excuses. No excuses why you didn't get the pussy. No excuses why you didn't get the check. It's the same thing.
That's how you checkmake them and I've yet to see them come out of that. Because if you tell them,
that's the difference between a hustler and a sucker. Not that pussy's not good, and not that sex is not good. But if that's your main fucking focus, you're gonna end up a loser. You're gonna end up.
And what happens with a lot of brothers? They become. This is how homosexuality is born.
I didn't know that there were so many until I got on YouTube. I didn't know that. I didn't know that there were so many. I see them out there, and I talk with them, and I guess they're in my family. I've had guys that have been married 4 and 5 and 6 times. I'm like, damn, dude, don't you just want to try having a girlfriend for a little while? Why does it have to be marriage?
I didn't think about it that way. From the why niggas keep on getting married, I did not think about it that way. Go ahead.
I don't get it. I still don't get it. I got 2 cousins like that, good-looking guys, got no problem getting a woman. But I don't know why it has to have, all the paperwork involved and shit. But that's what it is. It's the have to have it, and you have a physical need for sex. Some people feel that same need, that same thirst, that same desire for money and a better lifestyle. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, but that's what it is, and that's when you start to understand. BDS will call it what's in between motherfuckers' ears and all of that, and I understand that. But at some point, you got to be like, it's kind of like making a team. It's like, I understand why you may not have the skill level or whatever, but at the end of the day, people gonna get picked. They're gonna get picked. There's gonna be cuts. I mean, that is not a excuse, because that's when it becomes okay. This is when the bullshit comes to what motherfuckers should be doing when they got money. How you got motherfuckers that ain't made money try to tell people what to do with the money they made. This is where the Kobe shit comes in, where motherfuckers are talking about what Kobe should have did with his mom's parents as if they don't got money. What Kobe should have did this way. You got motherfuckers that ain't made shit trying to tell other people, hell, it don't even matter. Even when you give it shit to black people, Robert Smith, why you got to do it that way? So it doesn't even matter whether you're giving or not giving. Go ahead.
Well, Kobe's situation is so different because Kobe comes from a rich family. His father was professional.
But here's what's funny: the way that is completely irrelevant to the folks that say that stupid shit, though, because they forget Kobe does come from a rich family. So when they talking about, oh well, Kobe could have gave the money to his mom or some of it, I'm like, man, they sitting on 50 mil on their own. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know what they're sitting on, but they're not poor.
And no, that's what I've heard. That's basically what it's about, like 30 to 50 million.
They're not poor, and they made the mistake. They made the mistake of, maybe it's not the mistake. It turns out to be a mistake. They made the mistake of interfering in his life when he was in love with this girl. When he was in love with this girl from day one, and he chose them. He did choose them over her and her family. And he did give them way more than he gave his folks, but his folks haven't hurt for nothing. They haven't hurt for nothing. They just didn't get as much.
Well, at the end of the day, and I haven't even gone in to look at, does his sisters have children? Because I don't think they do. I haven't even gone to look at any of that shit. But
I didn't even know that he had siblings.
Yeah, he has 2 sisters, and they're not. I'm not trying to say they're ugly, but
I'm sure he's done plenty for them.
Oh yeah, Kobe gave like 2-3 million to the African American. Like, Kobe is a type of person that he feels that it's unbecoming to brag about shit that he's done. So he's one of them, which is great. But there's a lot of shit that he has done for black people. If he wanted to dust off those receipts, that he just doesn't talk about. So people are looking at it from that situation. That's one. 2, when you look at the people. And it's not just women. These are a lot of dudes. Fuck the women. I'm talking about the dudes. They will sit there and say, yeah, man, Kobe could have did this, did that. And I'm like, number one, you don't know what he has done. And number 2, that's only in the black community that you have this thing where wealth is supposed to move upwards. Like, for some reason, when he dies, the parents are supposed to get some kind of fucking payoff. I'm not saying parents are not supposed to get taken care of at all, but what I'm saying is that's not how wealth learns. He's got 4 kids still? I mean,
4 kids. Yeah, but you would think when there's so much, when there was so much that there was enough for everybody to get their beaks wet. That's an abundance of money.
Oh no, absolutely, and nobody knows how that really goes. Nobody really knows who's getting what. People are making assumptions. And
we know that when she was divorcing him, that in order for her to agree to reconcile, that he gave the mother that one house in Newport Beach, which is 3.5 million.
Her mother.
Her mother. Okay. She was living in a house that he bought that was about 3.5 million. It's probably worth 10 million now. So it's a spectacular home. He gave the title of that to his mother-in-law, and he gave the title to the house that they were living in, which is another spectacular home, probably worth 20 million now. He gave that to Vanessa, and that was whatever, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
You know what's funny about that? That the way you tell that story, that makes me sound like so what do you want? Like Kobe was in a situation because Kobe, they don't have a prenup. So it sounds like when you ask her, like, what do I need to do to make this right? That she really didn't know in that way. So she just threw some shit out, and that's what came to mind. Because real talk, that shit's have her money anyway, because Kobe didn't have money on his own by when he married her. That's the thing that people keep forgetting.
He was a rookie in the league. He had and I think his parents' main thing, if you just met this girl, you're gonna marry her, get a prenup. I don't think that they probably didn't approve of the girl, but that didn't matter that he didn't get a prenup. And it looks like they stood the course of time. It looked like she stuck by him. He was the one that was fucking around.
He got lucky.
He was the one that was fucking around on her.
He got lucky because this is a textbook situation of if she wanted to get half.
She took him back after he cheated 100 times.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a textbook situation is if that's what she wanted. And there was people in her ear, like lawyers or something like that, at least. Even if you say it ain't the family, which I doubt.
Absolutely. She had lawyers and they're all in her ear. And they're trying to eat too.
Exactly. They get paid off of that. That's right. Divorce Corp. Everybody should go look at Divorce Corp. That is a great, great documentary. Sometimes they have it on YouTube for free. Check it out because it really tells you about how the system gets in these females' ears too, because they can make money off the estate by having people go back and forth and back and forth. And a lot of people don't realize that.
She had every reason to divorce him though.
Yeah.
He was fucking everything that wasn't nailed down. And then after he got back with her and gave her those 2 homes, he was fucking around with some chick that worked for the Lakers. Pretty bitch. And Kobe probably paid off plenty of women that you haven't seen them come out of the woodworks afterwards and since he's died. He learned his lesson. He learned his lesson. He still couldn't control his dick, but he learned his lesson in Denver, in Colorado. Even the white people that I worked with at the time, the officers say, excuse me, they're saying he wouldn't have to rape anybody. It's ridiculous.
No, he wouldn't. That's basically a poll that want to get licked, and that just goes to show you how blind Kobe was. Right. You gotta understand he was younger, but he had a blind spot to thinking nobody would ever do that because he's Kobe. These younger dudes nowadays, they've seen enough. You got to remember the Instagram model. I mean, you have video models, obviously, but now this shit is just so out there now. Then now dudes are starting to get smart because these women are getting overt. Like even the DM thing, when you look at going to dudes' DMs, or women's DMs, now you getting put on blast. That motherfuckers are gonna be smart about how, because dudes are going. I don't care how much money dudes have. If they get burnt or people in their levels get burnt, they're gonna adjust. And that's what a lot of these females are getting upset because these dudes are starting to adjust. And it's not. And here's the thing with the difference between the females today and back in the day is the females today are very overt and sloppy. They do shit really not thinking. They think, oh, I'm a clout chase over this dude. When you don't understand that a big reason why you may fuck with a lot of dudes is because you're kind of private. Yeah, you may be famous to where they can see you, but you're private. So if every time somebody does something, you're out there, or you might write a book, these motherfuckers are gonna be like, man, fuck all that shit. Yeah, they will give you NDAs so where you can't do that, where they may give you some good money to shut the fuck up, or they're gonna be doing something. And this Me Too shit, yeah.
I don't know if they were any less sloppy. It's just you didn't have the advantage. You didn't have the access that you did, or proximity of the internet. where you can put somebody on fucking blast and everybody sees that shit.
And you can, and that's financially incentivized too, because these went like fame has now become a commodity. This shit is commodifiable now if you're a female, even if you're a dude, if you know how to use it, but it's much easier. This is why all these chicks are getting, I'm not gonna like get into the weeds, but this is why all these females are getting, and not just black, white too, they're getting tits and ass. Cause you know, white women are all about getting tits. They've been doing that.
I looked at the IG girls the other day. I'm like, God damn, she's fine. Like, shit, is there anything wrong with her? I mean, physically. You're like, wow.
And the smart ones, and see, you have dumb ones that just want to get anything on some low-grade stripper shit. And then you got smart ones that they'll make the investment, or they'll get a dude to make the investment where they may not get huge tits, or they may not do this. It's kind of like how if you customize cars, you got people that really know how to immaculately customize it, where they do something here and there to really make it look like that's naturally how that car was made, versus you got people that just do dumb shit. You got some people like that where you don't even know they got shit done. And so it goes deep. But anyway, I'm gonna bring Primo, but I'm about to wrap this up because this has been a very good video as far as getting some good information.
It's good. You should do more like this.
Yeah, and I like the fact that I added a lot of these guys as far as you can see different people. This dude does wholesale real estate. And he's an expert at that and built a very big channel doing that. And you see he's helped a lot of people. He's an expert at that shit. And
you know, the only difficulty I have with these guys that are more or less selling the game, you know, it's like those that do, and these other people make money at selling the process.
That's true. Everybody I showed you actually do, but I know the exact people you're talking about.
Yeah, he's selling the process, and I know I'm just a bit skeptical, even if they are doing it. All that information, most of the information that these guys are going to give you, no matter how, it's available to you. It's available to you for free or in a book. And if it's in a book, you can get the book from the library. Most of this information, I guess, having someone talk to you and explain things, and then selling you their program for $39 a month.
No, they do. I wish that was some of these motherfuckers. They will light your ass up.
Oh, they want a whole lot more money. Well, they got that much expertise.
Yeah, depending on who it is, there's like.
I just got the ticket wrong. It's the concept that makes me
No, you're absolutely right. 39 is absolutely.
Yeah, I just got the price wrong. You know, I guess if your line of bullshit is that good, you could ask for $3,900.
Correct.
Right. It's still the same. It's still the same process. It's like a teacher. You know, those that can do, those that can't teach. Is that I've just seen too many on real television and everything. I've seen too many hucksters go by, and I'm a huckster, so it's easy for me to see the game and see what they're doing, because I'm not that much different. It's just that I'm not out there doing it like them.
Absolutely, and there's a couple.
You're making a very valid point.
Yeah, I'm a huckster. I can see the bullshit in the game as it goes down, no matter how well packaged and how much polish it has on it.
Yeah, and that's why it's important, like, because all these people I showed that I've actually bought shit from them. Like, for instance, the commercial, like, he wrote a book. He has a book on his own, the dude Peter Harris with the Commercial Wealth Builders. But he, the For Dummies people had him write the commercial real estate book for dummies, and
he must really know his shit, because everything that I've ever read out of that For Dummies series is on point. Easy to fucking read, easy to apply. Everything, whatever topic, I would recommend them.
Yeah, and it's kind of like one of those things that where if you get in the For Dummies thing, that's like a certain kind of credibility, because they don't pick slouches. Also, like, it's a dude by the name of Ryan Dice that got the internet marketing one. But the funny thing is, I would tell people don't even buy the book, because all the stuff on his YouTube channel is everything in the fucking book. So I wanted to get the book because I like books, but like that's all in there. So a lot of these dudes.
I'm sorry to cut you off. So you've supported these dudes. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it if you could take the information and can apply it.
You know what? Hold on. You know what? Hold on, Edward. You know what? I've actually been knee deep in this, what is called the information marketing industry. Matter of fact, one of the folks that I learned under was the guy that Ryan Dice and Frank Kern and fucking Eben Pagan and fucking Joe Polish and all them guys learned from. I learned he's the same guy. Even all the real estate guys, the Ron LeGrand,
Harry Belcher.
Yeah, and the thing is, one of the biggest knowns in the industry is that most people who buy these books and programs don't even take the fucking shrink wrap off, but they keep fucking buying. Because like the brother said, they don't apply shit.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Edward next. Do you research and read all of the stuff you got? And and that just shows, and that just speaks to how good their presentation is, and how
everything I've bought, yes. Everything I've bought, yes, for the most part. And it depends on if it's something I want to get into or not get into. Like with him, I bought probably something that's like $40. And then that's something, but like stuff that I put more money into, like for instance, Billie Jean and internet marketing stuff. Yes, I have. Now yeah, I have.
It's all good that you're feeding your mind, but not taking the shrink wrap off of it. That's an emotional ass purchase.
Oh no, yeah,
and that just shows how good the game is. What makes me want to watch some of these dudes, because you know something, this is what I want to do. I'm not getting no damn younger. The game is to be sold, not to be told.
And also again, talking on the level of the Ryan Dice, even Pagan, Frank Kern, those like the old school guys. I mean, not nowadays. It's the Click Funnel guys, the Russell Brunsons, all these new guys. Is that one of the knowns in the industry? Is like once you start selling shit, you got to keep pumping out product. You can't stop, even if in your heart you want people to apply it. Once you get to the level to where you have an audience and you start selling them the how-to stuff. You have to introduce the next shit before they even finish reading the first shit.
Their Bentley payments don't stop.
Exactly. So you got to keep the product coming.
Well, so like yes,
their private club membership don't stop.
Nope.
But what you also got to understand, this is generally how you deal with that problem, because the business models got more sophisticated. Like Russell Brunson shit, he makes his money via two ways. Speaking fees, but that's a small thing. But his ClickFunnels product is a month-to-month product. And what he also does is it's a affiliate. It's an affiliate. It has a strong affiliate program.
Yeah.
Whereby people are bringing in people on the product. So he makes his money. It's basically recurrent. So that's how you deal with that issue, because you will eventually run out of shit to sell depending on unless you're in different niches. So if you're going to do it the way you're talking about, you start to develop different niches, but that gets old. So everybody I showed you for the most part has, except for Peter Harris, has some kind of like recurring product type of thing. And then that's what they maximize. So they're still getting money for people for the same thing. And what they do is they add nuanced stuff to it.
And them, I haven't heard of none of these dudes. I'm from a different generation, okay? But I've purchased information too from J. Douglas Edwards, from Zig Ziglar, from Earl Nightingale, from
Jim Rohn. Jim
Holmes in there too. I've never purchased anything from him, but it was pushed upon us to spend your money, and those tape series back then were $150, $200, some of them less, $80, $90 on discount. Is to actually put your own money out so that you'll value it. I have tape series. I don't have nothing to play. I got a couple of old cars I can play tapes in, but none of the newer cars have a tape player. I don't know where you would find a cassette player, but I still have cassettes that I try to listen to fairly regularly that gives me the same information. And all of those guys that you're listening to, no matter what field they're in, particularly if they're selling like motivation or sales techniques or attitudes or relationship shit, they've got that shit from someone else. and they
exactly
they got that shit from somewhere else.
100%.
When you're taught how to study that information, okay, you're taught to take a tape and play it over and over and over and over and over again. And then when you're finished doing that, you take that tape and you play it over and over and over and over again. The reason why is that it becomes a part of you where you can start completing the sentences. There's tapes that I listened to for 20 years, and you know that it's the truth, but your delivery will become the same as theirs. Zig Ziglar will tell you exactly what the fuck to say. Tom Hopkins will tell you exactly what to say.
Exactly.
I have to think about it. I got to ask my wife. Common objections you have. They'll tell you exactly what to say, and on those tapes, they'll tell you exactly how to say it. What I'm saying is this: once that becomes a part of you, you can take bits and pieces and puzzles and put them all together, and then you become that person. You become Peter Harris. You can't tell me that I can't do that.
No, people can definitely do that. I mean, you can do that wherever one niche. Like one thing I just did, even in this video alone, is I did a technique called content curation, where pretty much, we have an audience, mainly Black men. We had a topic where we talk about business. Obviously, Preem, you're coming in here later. AM1 came through here. You came on here. This wasn't planned. This was what it was. And then basically, I showed other Black men that are doing in different markets, because this was general. I didn't get it focused. Some people doing real estate, some people doing internet marketing, some people doing commercial real estate. And then even that alone, people think of me, and they think of me in content. I'm kind of like making a mixtape and putting other people, making a mixtape off somebody else's song, and then you're doing a set, with other people.
Would you mind? You have my email, right, Edward? When we were insulting each other, I was sending you emails. You got some of them, right?
Yeah, I have those.
All right. Well, forget about those. Would you mind emailing me some on internet marketing? I'm weak in internet marketing.
Yeah, I'll give you all the people you need to know.
I would like to. Yes, just a couple. A couple of the good ones. I don't need to know everybody, but just like somebody that talks to you like you're a second grader or something. Makes it nice and simple.
Yes, Billy Jean is probably one of the best ones that you would probably like, because Billy Jean is a sales. He's a sales animal with internet marketing. So he speaks from a sales term and applies it to internet. So he's probably the best one. But I got a couple of others too. That's good. It's a simple.
Let me just do a quick reality check on something, on like some of the phenomena you will see in this quote unquote new age, new era. But first, let me just give a shout out to the old heads: Tom Hopkins, Gene Schwartz, Robert Collier. Anybody who's trying to sell anything in business, who's listening or whatever, if you really want to learn something, you'll have to take my word for it, because I really don't give a shit if you do, if you don't. But what you want to do is you want to study the old heads from like 100 years ago. The Robert Colliers, the Gene Schwartz,
J. Douglas Edwards. J. Douglas Edwards is the godfather.
Douglas Edwards, those guys. Because the thing is, those guys had to sell when it wasn't convenient to just get a message out. If you think about it, some of those guys actually had to put an offer in a mail, have it delivered, and that offer had to be so compelling that someone would tear off something, a coupon, put a check in, put it in the envelope, lick a stamp, drop it in the mail to mail it back in. It wasn't as easy as a click. Because what you see nowadays, and the sad thing is, like, I know a guy, he has a YouTube channel, and he has like 100,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel, and he sells a product, and it's in the sales category. He's a well-known white guy. It's the Salesman Podcast. He has a little accent. Skinny guy, wears glasses, called the Salesman Podcast. Skinny dude. He used to sell like medical devices. He's got 100,000 subscribers. He has a program, a product. He has just one. And in that program, you know how many customers he has, how many clients he has? And I think his price point for that product is about, I want to say it's about $2,000. It's not that much. It's about $2,000. He's got 50 clients. 50.
That's called high ticket sales, but that's in the high ticket sales category.
No. Listen to what I said.
That's a high ticket sale.
But listen to what I said. He's got one.
No, that's not a bad thing.
Oh my
that's
God.
Not going to
oh my God. 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 Don't miss this. He's got 100,000 subscribers.
He makes 200,000 a month or whatever. 200,000 every time he sends him 2,000.
He's got 100,000 subscribers, and out of those 100,000 subscribers, he's only able to convert 50 of those motherfuckers to customers.
Yeah, it's easier to click than to write a check.
I mean,
and you know something?
That's 0.05%.
Yeah, again, and that right there is the norm of this era where these guys are saying, you got guys that may have like 1 million. They may have an audience of like 1 million, 2 million, and only have 100 customers. And if you look, again, if you look at the numbers, the revenue numbers, I'm like, it doesn't make any damn sense. These guys do a whole lot of effort. Forget it. I mean, because you don't get it. I mean,
I hear you and I get it, but let me tell you the way I would look at it.
Go ahead.
Person that works on commission. If this was a revenue stream that I didn't have before, and all I have to do is bump my gums and talk about this stuff, which I do easily, naturally, as you can tell, and I'm able to get any customer over it. It's a customer that I didn't have. And it's a customer that I didn't have. And if my product and service is that good, of those 50, they're going to encourage someone else to do it. I'll get referrals. And I'm going to keep on pushing because it might not be as lucrative as what you thought, but it should. But and I look.
So let me go ahead and put it into like layman's terms. You know, how many frogs do you want to kiss in order to go ahead and find a prince?
Well, you know,
no homo.
I would like. I like every,
what you're trying to do.
I'd like every single one to turn into a princess.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct. So now, this guy, don't miss this. This guy's kissing. And trust me, on the back end, he is belly aching. He's got ulcers. He's wondering if he should even fucking continue. Because the overhead and the carrying cost to maintain 100,000 leads, prospects, just to convert.
Hold on. No, well, let me ask you this. So does it take any more effort if say we're making a presentation over YouTube, right? Of my product or my service or myself. These basically, all these dudes are basically selling themselves. Okay. And their expertise. So is it any more effort to make a presentation, a 2-hour presentation? Yeah. Let me finish. To 100 people or 100,000 people. Is it any more effort to me?
Yes.
Wow.
You have that's what you have to find out. You have carrying costs, you have bandwidth, okay? You have engagement costs, you have emails, you have webinars, you have Q&A. It's not just like an autonomous thing. They will tell you. Trust me. I've been in the rooms. I know the guys. I know the guys. I know the guys.
I don't want to.
This is not guessing. I know the guys. I've been on that side of the table. I know the guys. Okay? They tell you the ease of put up a video, click a button, send it out, put the Facebook ad, and money is just going to come through the doggone internet. Listen, don't take my word for it, because again, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. But I'm trying to tell you, these guys are going through some fucking pain. They look good. It look good because they're recognized, because you see the numbers. But the real numbers, the true numbers, like I was saying when I first got on here, it's like, let's talk about the real numbers. Let's talk about margin. Let's talk about cost of goods sold.
But the problem is you want to have that as a one-way conversation.
It's not a one-way.
Easily is gone because he couldn't get a word in. So I mean, we hear what you're saying. Respond to what I'm saying. If there's something you want to respond to, but I heard what you said, so that's a response. This isn't going to be like a you're wrong response. I'm gonna point you, because there's multiple business models in that. So like the first things first. This is where the other dude is messing up. Number one. Most are
guessing though.
No, I'm not guessing. I've been to these conferences as well. So what you basically done, dude,
I know these guys.
Sub-Zero, like you. So you only nigga to know somebody?
No, I know these guys. I've been in the room with these guys. I know the real deal, the real fucking story.
All right, bring time out, because God damn it, I'm sitting there trying, because see, basically what you did. Let me explain what you just did. You basically just came in here, and okay, you have a right to have your opinion, but you did what a black female does. You came in here and tried to set up a situation to where anybody that says anything counter to what you're saying is automatically wrong. Number one, you do not know every internet marketer.
Because I'm the only one who knows this topic that's on the panel.
All right, so because you're getting on my damn nerves. If I wanted to be an asshole, let me say some shit just to give you a perfect example. So you already heard Beasley bring up the fact that me and him, he was sending shit. Now, some of them emails I opened, some of them I didn't open. Like maybe like 2 of them I opened, and the rest of them I didn't put them in the spam box, but they almost did. They weren't coming that often. They're coming like maybe once every other week or some shit. So it wasn't like he ain't RBR. But what Preem doesn't know is that Beasley, a mutual person that Beasley known longer than I have, but I've known is Sub-Zero 3639. Now I'm not trying to be careful because I ain't trying to get into personal business. You can go on, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm about to show you, because I'm gonna show you why you don't do that. Because I want to keep everything public. So because this is why you don't come in here automatically assuming you know everything. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm trying to get in, but at the end of the day, it's my fucking show. So I'm not going to sit here and I can't fucking talk when I already wanted to kind of end this anyway. And I'm not trying to be an asshole to Preem, but I'm like, goddamn, when somebody tells me to shut up, well, they won't say shut up, but they tell me to chill out, I try to chill out. Now, I may try to jump the fuck back in, but I choose chill the fuck out. So people talk to me, I'm motor mouth. So this is Sub-Zero's channel. Y'all should definitely subscribe to it. Let me put the link in here so you can. All y'all to subscribe to me should be subscribed to Sub-Zero, especially if you like commentary like this, because you're going to get this a lot more from Sub-Zero than from me. Quite frankly, really, Beasley should be on his shit more, because it's more likely he's going to talk about this than what I'm going to talk about. So this is a guy named Tehran. This is not the first time that Sub-Zero has done an interview with Tehran. There's a couple of them on the video. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, Sub-Zero personally knows Tehran. I talk to Sub-Zero a lot behind the scenes. Sub-Zero himself has made about $60,000 or $70,000 in a year, a calendar year, just teaching people how to do IT, something extremely obscure, extremely niche. And Sub-Zero doesn't have internet marketing experience. If I show you his website, it's ugly as fuck. And I say that to show you how much results he was able to get with not knowing. Sub-Zero is more like Beasley as far as internet marketing knowledge, but he's got sales knowledge, right? They're like that, but he still was able to extract $70,000. And Sub-Zero does other shit, but just in this one venture. And by the way, he did this mostly helping black men. Y'all saw the thing when he was on O'Shea shit, where people were testimonials talking about how Sub-Zero has helped them actually get jobs. Right now, this is important because the dude that I'm showing you right now that he's interviewing, Tehran makes about $250,000 a month. He makes about $250,000 a month, not a year, a month, doing exactly the similar shit that Billy Jean does, and he does things and other stuff, mainly in e-commerce. He talks to this dude directly. Sub-Zero has been to events where he has personal connections with black people that do this shit. I have been on one panel talking to Tehran on my own, and there's people that I know behind the scenes too, right? So when Preem talks about he personally knows people, I get you may have seen what they do behind the room, but you don't know everybody. You don't know everybody at all because there's different vectors. There's internet marketing. There's doing the business shit. Shout out to Jesse Veal. There's folks that do the network marketing shit. I'm not saying everything is cookie cakes and rainbows at all. But what I'm saying is the first thing in what he said is the dude is selling a high ticket product. And if that's the only product that he's selling, he's an idiot because he should be selling a recurring product that's cheaper than that as well, because that way he can get revenue coming in month after month. Month after month. That's what I was trying to tell Preem that I didn't get the opportunity to tell because he didn't want to shut the fuck up. And I'm saying that, and I know I'm me. But damn. And this is one of many examples I can give you. You're not the only person that knows people, Preem. And at the end, and I know black people, white people, different races, as far as in this game. And there is two sides to everything. But this idea that he's paying, let me keep it real. All these guys, this is where these guys sometimes don't tell the truth on. And let me be very clear here. Tehran, I can show you a video where he was on Sub-Zero's channel. If I go deep enough, where Tehran was actually showing his computer, where he was showing his actual sales. So he was showing what's on his computer. He was showing his accounts. He wasn't just talking. So what folks have to understand is a lot of these guys are going to be talking about the revenue they generate. They don't necessarily talk about how much they net. That's one thing, but they're still netting a lot. Another thing is this idea that, oh, well, he's paying. It hurts. It hurts. It depends on what you're doing and how you're structured. But that does not mean that he's trying to insinuate that all these guys are lying about how much money they're making. Some of them, of course, may be, but there's nobody I've shown you, including Tehran, and Sub-Zero, I'll add him in there, that is not the real deal. They do what they do and they know what to teach. I can actually show you a black female that Sub-Zero actually bought a product from on how to be a car dealership, and he's used that information as to how to be getting the car dealership business. So I wasn't trying to be mean with cutting him off, but I'm like, God damn, man, you can't have this thing where everybody's lying but you. Especially with your shit that's out there with video Ramil did. Come on, man. And I also don't got an issue with this too, because everybody I put up here was ADOS. So now it's kind of is on the background. You're sitting there throwing people under the bus that are actually black men. Yeah, man, I don't like this shit. But I just wanted to point that out there. This is actually another really good video. And let me get my favorite video from Sub-Zero real quick. And his name is Tehran Spear. And this is a dude that was in the Special Forces. This is actually my favorite video from Sub-Zero, which is Expedited Freight, where Sub-Zero interviewed somebody in the car and that's doing expedited freight, and then he was talking about how to get in that business. And expedited freight is really key, because if you're somebody that's an Uber driver, now the industry is a little bit different than when this video first came up, but if you're somebody that's this is another vector to get in the industry. So anyway, it is what it is. But like I said, man, you can't, like I said, you don't know what people, shit, O'Shea is making six figures, his website generating six figures off of donations a year, pretty much, as well, as far as gross. So again, Preem, you can't come in here trying to tell everybody what the fuck they know. You the only motherfucker that knows shit, and your opinion is the only one that fucking matters, because it's not. I didn't come up here for you to sit like, you notice how I don't have no links. I'm not asking nobody to buy shit. I have no fucking incentive to tell somebody to support any of these people. You know, I don't get no kickbacks, none of that. So on top of that, you sitting here, oh, all these people ain't doing this. I know some of these people and they're hurting. I know this one person, well, like he's selling medical shit. That is some extremely, extremely niche shit. That is not the same. So anyway, I'm about to end this shit. But I appreciate y'all for being up here. You know, we had, you know, I was up at 50 people. You know, shout out to Beasley for coming on, you know. And with that being said, you know, I'm going to talk about more about business. I'm going to start talking about more about the internet marketing stuff that I deal with personally. Because people have been asking me for that behind the scenes. You know, I'm going to start kind of doing some show and tell or some stuff. Because I definitely want to bring that into the manosphere. Because I do have things that I can do that anybody can pick the fuck up and actually do. And yeah, there might be some financial benefits for me, but you know, y'all have seen me do this shit for damn me 2 years, and I've never financially benefited from it outside of a couple people giving me some donations. So I don't want to hear what nobody's got to say about me starting to want to make some money, especially if I'm putting together the training material in order to help you make money and shit like that. So with that being said, you're going to see some shit like this. You know, I really got to get that Classic Black Man website up and stop fucking around on that. Because, you know, it's a lot black, you know, we're multidimensional as black men and, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, Preem is all right, but when he want to get stupid like that, I mean, I don't know what the fuck I was going to do. Like, he think he going to run me, bitch me up on my channel. And I didn't do that until Beasley left. So it's like, okay. So anyway, with that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace.